Hello, welcome to this game. As part of the Gauntlet community, we're going to be playing Teeth, Knight of the Hogmen. I give us a strong warning now for heavy Hogmen-based content coming. There will be hogs everywhere. There'll be like 30 to 50 hogs in their area, I think, at most point. Teeth is an in-development game by Jim Rosenthal and Marsh Davis, which they describe as Stalker meets Jane Austen. So kind of touchstones are things like, I immediately went to like Blackadder as a survival horror game for this adventure. But like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is perhaps the other sort of vibe. So it's set in a very fictionalized late 18th century. And I'm carrying on. I normally go by he, him pronouns. And the players, could we please go around in order of StreamYard? Most important thing, we're playing under the community code of conduct for the Gauntlet. We have defined lines and veils before this has started, and we're playing with the X card. And there's an open door policy. Right. And now, moving around, can everyone just introduce yourself as players and give one favourite fact about this historical period? It can be true or false. So when I say fact, I mean broadly defined. Sorry, Donna first, then Michael, then Brian, then Leonardo.
Sorry, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. Tonight I will be playing Lady Catherina the Grope, who is a haughty dowager. I think my favorite thing about this period is that, obviously, British soldiers are well known for wearing red, but on campaign, it most certainly would have been pink. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. British Empire.
Yeah. Excellent.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm he, him. I'll be playing Miss Dandridge Sloopville-Jones, who is the disinherited daughter. My favorite fact about this time period is that the English Empire is on the decline. Your days are numbered. You don't even know it yet.
Yep. Excellent. And Brian?
I'm Brian, he, him, and I am playing Mr. Trode Wickle, the Royal Disease Collector. And favorite historical fact. I don't know. I'm apparently not good at coming up with these off the top of my head.
The guy who designed this game, the guy that he used to work for a magazine, and they used to do this thing where they had to have fact box outs, and he actually just put this fact: chess was invented by Mr. Chess in 1952, and that's about the level of fact I think we're working on here. Okay, we feel free to move on.
It's a weakness I didn't know I had. That this was a gap in my skills. I'm not good at coming up on the fly. I don't know.
Oh, no. It's fine. We can come back to your fact, and you can introduce it in the narrative as a point. I think that is a particularly excellent. And Leonardo.
Yeah, hi. My name's Leandro. Use he him pronouns. You'll meet my idealistic governess, and hopefully they'll survive tonight amidst the tide of hogs. But my favorite historical fact about this period in time is how they made toast, which is you take a poker, you poke the bread on top of the poker, and you just hover it over the fire, which is beautifully simple. And I didn't realize why didn't I think of that, because there was a legit 2-day period where I was trying to figure out how they made toast around this time. It's like, I guess they just had bread. They didn't have toast, did they? Which was silly of me.
My favorite, popcorn was invented in 1893 or something like that. Popcorn's a weirdly late invention or something. Is it popcorn? Yeah. No, I'm lying. Candy floss. Candy floss is incredibly late invention. So it's a Chicago World Fair thing, I think. Well, I hope it's true. I put that in a story once, so it's not true. I'm in trouble.
But what were they trying to do with this, right? I wonder, did they mean to invent it?
It does look. It has the vibe of an accident, that kind of sweet tumbleweed but delicious. That kind of vibe. Anyway, I've got to say, one thing: if everyone wants to change their character name, change their name on StreamYard to your character name, and include as well as your real name if you like. That might be useful. Otherwise, I'll end up sticking post-it notes to the screen, which is my usual way of remembering character names. Anyway, this game means you are basically, you've just caught, the picture image, if you will. It's a stormy night, because it always is. There's mud and there's rain lashing down, and you are crammed into the last mail coach out of Carlisle. The horses are nervous, and your passengers are destined to Gatlock, a remote town under mysterious quarantine in the very north of England. But you know, the night arrived too early. It is, as I said, incredibly stormy, and your bedraggled coachmen basically have had to really push these animals on through this screaming mist. And to be honest, you feel kind of lucky that you're inside and not, for example, outside in the rain. Like as you sit there with your belongings around you, slightly too many belongings for someone to carry, you may notice. But certainly enough belongings to fill this carriage and keep you vaguely warm. You might begin to wonder what you could possibly burn to stay warm. What's the Lady Catherina? What's the first thing people notice about your appearance in the carriage?
I mean, I think I am a little bit too tall for the comfort of those sitting opposite me. Certainly for a lady, but none dare mention anything of the sort, obviously. And I think most of this extraneous or allegedly extraneous luggage is my own. So,
excellent. Have you let's say, who do you think's talking the most in this journey?
I imagine that Mr Wickle is really trying to find a topic of conversation that doesn't disgust all three of the ladies on board with him, and is flitting from topic to topic like a rather errant bee right now.
Mr. Wickle is alone with 3 women in a carriage, which must be like an unusual situation in the period. Mr. Wickle, do you want to what should the immediate impression you give, and what is your topic of conversation to try to entertain these selection of womanhood crammed into this space?
I mean, topic of conversation would be, fungus and, the crossover between fungus that can parasitize people and be edible.
Excellent. Madame Wosenbury. Of course, you're an educated. You're a governess. You're educated. Like, what do you think about these fungal stories? And what's the immediate impression that you are making on people?
I think I am quite. I'm hearing these fungal stories, and I'm imagining how. I think to Madame Wosenbury, they're blitheringly boring. They are the kind of minutiae that, is a typical gentleman's pursuit, and that, of course, having dominated all realms of thought, they've decided to find even the most minuscule and the most pointless of facts, and have decided to lord them over everyone else. So I think Madame Wosenbury is being, she's being. I think she's asking a lot of questions, but in a kind of way that is just like trying to undermine our dear Mr. Get these names, Mr. Trode, just being really snide. You'd think that, like, as fellow passengers in a cramped carriage, you'd be content to just lapse in silence, but she's not making the atmosphere any better.
Oh no. Has Mr. Wickle noticed the level of sort of sullen contempt that's been delivered towards him?
No, I think any questions that are meant to it can be a subtle dig or just taken sincerely and answered lengthily.
Excellent. And of course, this leaves us with Dandridge. What's the immediate impression of Dandridge in the carriage, our disinherited daughter? And what does she make of this sort of tension brewing?
She's probably used to tense situations, being that she hasn't really got on with her family for the last few years. I think she's probably doing the teenager thing of trying to look cool and uninterested, but really like the fact that he's talking about fungus just out and about is an odd thing that she's kind of into. As for how she looks to the others, she's definitely younger, and she's kind of slight, and she is dressed like someone who was given proper clothes but didn't actually care about them. So like she's got her stockings have runs in them and things like that just would look wholly inappropriate to these other two ladies.
That's a shocking sight we have before them. What does Lady Catherina make of this creature that's appears to have been dragged through a hedge?
Well, obviously, I wouldn't make any kind of comment on this. Her shame is deep enough without my adding to it. But there will be the odd sniff made in Dandridge's direction.
Excellent. And Wosenbury, as a governess, do you want to take Dandridge under your arm or under wing? That's what people do.
I think there is like because I'm not just a governess, I'm an idealistic governess. So, but so there's a crossroads there. On one hand, Dandridge is in an absolute state. But on the other hand, should I encourage that as a sign of independence? Best get her story first and not judge just bare appearance. I'm sure she has very good reason for why she looks so disheveled right now. I mean, after all, there's the weather and whatnot. But first, there's this fungus man that needs to be taken down a peg. There's a hierarchy of importance in Wosenbury's mind.
I do like that Wosenbury is very efficient as a to-do list here to educate these people in order. Marvelous. I was like, this does beg a question though. Like Dandridge, you're a disinherited daughter. Why were you disinherited?
I think just not fitting in with what my parents wanted me to be. Always been a bit more tomboyish and interested in things that ladies aren't supposed to be interested in.
That seems reasonable. I was like, is anyone going to to try to interrupt Mr. Trode's story of fungus, or are they going to, or they're going to let him carry on?
And you'd be surprised to know that there are actually more species growing in your mouth at this time than on your feet.
A fact which was, disputed until you entered this carriage, Mr. Wickle.
Wow. There's the moments like, Mr. Trode, this is probably a second for you to remember, like, so why are you actually travelling to this the town of Gatlock anyway? This is probably as that slight to give you a chance to think about that. Sorry, I think I mixed up my question there. Mr. Trode, after the sting of Lady Catherina's words, you probably think about why you're going to this Gatbury on this godforsaken night anyway.
I mean, I imagine I have the lead on the presence of some kind of parasite or malady. That's I think someone was spotted in the town with some shade of unusual shade of blotchy pigment on their skin that I'm hoping is some sign of some new disease.
Have you heard rumors of? I mean, have you heard rumors of the what's the word? I'm going to call it the hog kiss. Is what we're going to call it. Have you heard of like the hog kiss? This is a thing that comes from the Hogmen. Do you believe in Hogmen?
I mean, I'm skeptical. I think it may be the Hogmen. It's probably rooted in some kind of truth that's been exaggerated.
Yeah. I mean, the idea that like thousands of Hogmen emerge one day in the just emerge from the night and they come burrowing out the ground and attack all comers. That just seemed a quite far-fetched idea that almost seems impossible to believe. Does Madame Wosenbury believe it?
I think it's certainly an interesting story, but in Madame Wosenbury's mind, it seems to be another it sounds terribly farcical. It sounds like something that's like was just folks made up for a fun. It's a fun story. It doesn't cut to the truth of the world in any way. Like Hogmen, it might as well just be a distraction, and so. At least for the brief 5 seconds that Madame Wosenbury ever thought about them, it's like, okay, this is a distracting piffle. In the priority list, it will be way down. You'll be like, it'll be 30th or so, or maybe that's even being generous. Might not even make the top 50 of her priorities. So it's just she only knows like people talk about Hogmen, nothing else.
Of course, speaking about Hogmen, Lady Catherina's dead husband. We should probably brief. How was the last one? How did the last one die? Or sorry, actually, let me rephrase that. How does the world think the last one died?
An unfortunate horsing accident. I would say typically horse riding, except it was more like the horse was dragging him after he. Made several rather basic horsemanship mistakes. You think he would have known better. I did warn him, after all, that stallion was not for him, but he was never faint-hearted, So, I mean, I've been perfectly truthful with everyone about exactly what happened to poor Joffrey, and that's what we have. Oh, sorry, Howard. I must get the name straight in my head.
They do all merge into one, at some point. Let me. Howard husband, which is a good one. Of course, Dandridge, you are aware of the person you're sitting opposite, Lady Catherina, and you heard a very different rumor about what happened to her last husband. What was it, Dandridge?
I heard that she poisoned him.
How do you feel about that?
Good for her.
Seems legit. Mart, so we have this picture, this image, Mr. Trode. On one side, there's a man who believes he is sharing an incredibly expensive education to the entire carriage, and they should be very grateful. And then there are 3 very bored women with various levels of politeness, and Dandridge being vaguely impressed by Lady Catherina sitting opposite. Fortunately, things change, and Madame Wosenbury may have to change her list of priorities. There's an unmorty crack. The entire carriage shakes, and it spins to a halt, rolling to the side. Like there's an awful kind of it just is this awful lurching, and you realise you've come to rest on the bridge on the side. In the distance, you can sort of there's a noise. It's difficult to explain. I mean, who's heard a pig? Raise your hand. Well, this sounds an awful lot like a pig, but like a grand number of them, some would say. Curious. Would you like to leave the carriage, or are you going to stay inside?
Might try to pop a head out and take a look at the drivers, see if they know what's going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, the coachman, as you mentioned, the coachmen are out there, and well done on Mr. Trode taking stepping out into the pouring, drenching rain. The carriage has partially blocked the bridge. One of the coachmen remains standing. The other coachman has been flung from the vehicle and lies stricken among the hooves of the horses. The horses have bolted, let's say, as in because I don't like the horses being around Hogmen. That seems too dangerous. And as everyone sort of has sort of this, I think the hatchman shot everyone out, says the coachman quickly. Something there is evil afoot. The other coachman has walked down the bridge to see what's going on. He looks in horror and turns back, screams, "Hogmen! Hogmen!" He's trying to load his flintlock pistol. "The Hogmen are abroad! The Hogmen are coming! Arm yourself!" he shouts back. Right. This is you screams, "You have to run." I was about to say, what he is, you're definitely being urged to grab stuff. At this moment, I will briefly explain one of the mechanics. As from this point on, the game assumes that you have grabbed 3 items from your luggage. All the players have a list of 15 increasingly obscure objects, which can be selected at any time and have access to, which is delightful. There's one of the only other item is the coach's oil lantern. There's one of them which remains unbroken, which is a suitable form of light in this dark and stormy night. Who wishes to take it? Oh, Trode? Trode is nearest. But Lady Catherina can certainly step in.
I'll take it. I mean, I think we'll trust Mr. Wickle to have both hands free, and I do love being the center of attention, so I will take the light.
Does Mr. Wickle allow such it to happen?
Sure.
Excellent. Well, Catherine, you stand there in the dark. It's a magnificent, towering figure, like a statue of liberty and freedom in this realm.
I mean, the likes of which the North has never seen. But
yes.
Yeah.
Right. The sky lightning again. That's the thing. They're just standing in the rain. Secondly, you realise the coachman who was the coachman who's alive and warning you is still shouting on the far side of the bridge, "We need to move." The other coachman is lying on the floor, alive. You've realised, as in you thought he was possibly hurt. He still has his pistol, but he's kind of like moaning and like not quite sure what's going on. He would definitely need assistance to move. There's 2 things which are very key now. First thing, there's a flash of lightning. You can see on the hills opposite you, coming you, a heaving tide, a diabolic swarm of writhing hog-face creatures rutting and truffling towards you, screaming for blood. The Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are, underline, coming. This coachman on the other side of the bridge realises you're doomed. And in a moment of incredible sacrifice, is taking the one lantern he's holding, smashes it in the floor, and creates a fiery barrier between you and him. He shouts across the thing as the Hogmen close in on him, "Run! Run as fast as you can!" And then the Hogmen grab him and tear him apart. And depending on what rating this is, the level of grizzleness is considerable. We're talking about a sort of Evil Dead zombie movie level of awfulness happens to this poor coachman. I've got to say, when the camera lingers on each of your expressions, tell us what your expression is as you see this awful, truly despicable thing, and tell me whether you've seen anything that bad before or not. Starting with Lady Catherina.
I think the slightly kind of smirk is the wrong word for the genre, but that kind of feeling turns a little bit steelier. Because this is a level of gore that she hasn't seen firsthand in several husbands' worth. So, yeah.
Marvelous. Dandridge. What does Dandridge think of this abominable sight that's before her?
Initially she was looking at the Hogmen approaching with this kind of curiosity, never having seen anything like this. And now she continues to never having seen anything like this and is absolutely horrified at the sight before her.
Marvelous. That's quite insane. And Madam Wosenbury, what about you?
Ooh. I think like Madame Wosenbury would like to think that she has seen quite a lot in her time in this world. After all, she went over here from the Caribbean and surely must have seen things. But this is still quite something. So I think this is still quite something that she hasn't really seen. So the expression we get is a proper, God, for blanking on the actor's name, proper Shaun of the Dead, Simon Pegg kind of confusion, as it's only just barely registering that this is that these Hogmen were, what was the word you used, rutting their way towards.
Right. Yeah, rutting is a weird word to use, I know, but I'm stuck with it, I guess. Like there's a kind of physical like grind horror to them, I guess, is the thing. Like if you imagine, have you seen like my image is like, imagine pigs in a farm at feeding time and how all the bodies move together and that kind of grinding, writhingness. That's what I'm imagining a horde of them are like. It's like a pachinko, fleshy pachinko balls coming towards you. And that's the metaphor I'm going to stick with now.
God, you are paid to write these things.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I mean, someone stop me. Right. Okay, and finally, Mr. Trode, we've scanned down the line. What's Mr. Trode Wickle's response to this horror?
Yeah, I mean, Trode is familiar with suffering and disease, but violence, like this, I think is he's not terribly accustomed to. So, wide-eyed shock, I guess, would be what you would see, and a realization that like, oh, how are we going to get these three? Like, I don't want to watch this happen to any of these three ladies. That's really would be horrifying. How am I going to get them away from this? Yeah.
Like, bless Mr. Wickle here. As an, I think I would just run. It's like, fine. Okay, that's the situation. But you've got the thing. Like, you're probably going to head in the other direction. But there's one small thing. The guy at your feet is moaning, and the coachman isn't. Do you want to take him with you? Are you going to? It's worth noting. He also has his pistol, which might be useful. Where does the group feel about taking or leaving this man? Madame Wosenbury is the one who's nearest, so probably is the person who notices.
Yeah, I think like Madame Wosenbury isn't even gonna like brook any argument to the contrary. This is a man who is living, who does not deserve this horrible fate that his fellow coach person has just suffered. So I think, Madame Wosenbury, without even like, if that's okay with folks, like she will just immediately like go to the coachman and try to help him up, and just say, like, on your feet, good sir. There are an innumerable amount of Hogmen about. We should be on our way.
No such thing as Hogmen, he says. It's a myth, not true. He might. But thank you. I appear to be missing a lung. So, like, my lung is having a difficulty today. So, thank you, madame.
She just kind of peers. Is he missing a lung?
He's like, honestly, he's got a punctured lung. He's in real pain here. But like, the miracle surgeries of the day will surely put him back on his feet.
Oh, absolutely, yes. If anyone has faith on certain sciences, it's probably Madame Wosenbury. It's not fungus, just not fungus.
Yeah. So I have a special ability. I don't think it's necessarily going to do anything to help this man, but I do have remedies. So I imagine I give him something to drink.
That's great. That's great. Tell me what your remedy ability does.
It says Wickle can use remedies to heal one level of harm by spending 2 guts.
That's really useful. I was about to say, you put like, I was like, do you want to do it here or perhaps move on a little bit? Because it's like the Hogmen are definitely close, but you could probably do something to make him move a bit quicker. I guess that's
Yeah, I just in the moment, I imagine I have something that I like give him to here, drink this, and yeah, we can resolve it further.
That's a great moment. I think this is a great chance to introduce the actual the system and do a dice roll, because that seems a popular activity in a role-playing game. Right. The way the system works is you have to choose what you're trying to achieve. And then you choose one of your actions, which is listed on your sheet. The 4 actions are brawn, wit, will, and sleight, which are broadly broadly sort of activities. You choose which one you would like, and I then basically decide how effective it might be. That's the kind of dialogue back and forth. You roll a number of dice equal to your thing. If you get a 6, it's a full success. That means you get what you wanted, no complications. If the highest number is a 4 or 5, you're gonna get what you're gonna get what you wanted, but there'll be a complication of some kind. And if the lowest is 1 to 3, well, that's not gonna happen. The dice are kind to us. And if we rolled more than 1 6, it's a critical. Therefore, things go particularly well. Mr. Trode Wickle, what are you trying to do with this? By applying the chemists.
I think this is mostly just to relieve some immediate pain and get him moving.
That sounds great. Yeah, fantastic. And which one of your actions do you think is best for that?
I suppose wits.
That's one that that's the one that goes to me. I would say this is like I think I give a position and effect. Position is whether, like, if it's controlled, it means you're basically in a good situation. If it's desperation, things are going chaotic, and risky is in between. And then the level of effect is how enormous it is. I'm going to say this is risky standard because it's not normally a problem, but the fact you're with a wall of fire with a load of hogs nearby, this seems like 2 factors. Great. If anyone wants to assist him, they can. If they do that by spending the game's currency. The game's currency is called Guts. You can spend 1 point to assist somebody and then get an extra dice.
I'll assist. Mr. Trode, I think the way Madame Wosenbury is doing that is she's propping up our poor injured gentleman and is trying to distract him from the pain by regurgitating Mr. Trode's own stories of fungal fury or fungal fever, just to distract him from whatever. Trying to reassure our coachman that okay, he knows his stuff.
Excellent. I was like, Mr. Trode, are you impressed by Madame Wosenbury's memory of everything that you've been saying?
I don't know. It depends. Did she get it all right, or did she make some mistakes?
Oh, she got it absolutely wrong. It is just nonsense. Maybe with some keywords that she lifted from what you were saying.
So it's all right. I'll explain it again to her later.
Oh,
okay.
Excellent. Right. Can you roll, please, Mr. Trode Wickle?
So a 5.
5's nice. That's a complicated success. I would say, I would probably know this succeeds. So you've managed to get it going, but you are kind of out of painkillers. This is your last of your painkillers. You had to pour. You had to pour quite a lot of painkillers because the droning about fungal growth wasn't enough either. But you've managed to do it. This is good. This is good because it's actually saved you something. If you look to the right of the character keeper, I've just added 2 clocks. There's the proximity clock. The proximity clock is actually how close the enormous baying horde are to you. The more full that is, the more chances are that there's hogs baying at your thing. You're gonna, as the game progresses, you're gonna fill in bits of the proximity clock, and if it fills up, it's gonna be pretty much you're facing the pigs in the open air, which is tricky because you're gonna have to go somewhere to make a stand, I guess. And the hog siege preparedness clock is a separate thing, which is based around how ready you are to face the horrors that befriend you at the end. And I am going to tick the hog siege preparedness clock, which because you have took somebody with a weapon with you, which strikes me as a really useful thing. And I'm not going to tick the proximity clock. Actually, no, I'm going to tick 1 because it would be 2 and I'm reducing it down to 1. As in, he's no longer slowing you down as much, which is very important. So the proximity clock, and just for the sake of argument, if you'd left him behind, you would have got no ticks on the clock. In that sort of situation, and that's the payoff. As a broad warning, the more preparedness you get when in destination, the better this will turn out for you. As in, just legging it past everything is probably a recipe for disaster. On the other hand, it is very dangerous because you are gentlefolk, entirely unprepared. But you do have a very grateful, slightly drugged coachman lurching on beside you. There is a flash of lightning again, which is useful because it allows you to actually see ahead, apart from the circle of Lady Catherina's thing. The road descends into a shallow gorge cut by the river, heading forth. But if you look up, there is a church steeple glinting in the moonlight further down the valley, like across the beautiful downs, which are normally beautiful, now A, muddy, B, possibly hog infected. And it is, you know, and it seems to be the only stronghold nearby. And then, of course, as the expert of hogs, Mr. Trode, when did you hear about this? Obviously, the famous story about someone managing to survive one of these hog nights and at church. Like, specifically, what was it about the church which allowed them to survive the night of the hogs?
What specifically about the church? I think the ringing of the church bells kind of kept them back. They seemed pained by the sound of them.
This sounds highly credible. Do you tell everyone else about this?
Sure. Yeah. I've heard a story of someone surviving attack of these hogmen. At the time I thought it was just a story, but if they're real, then perhaps the other facts of it are as well. The church bells seem to keep them at bay. They were able to survive the night by ringing them continually.
Lady Catherina, how do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, for someone to suggest that one kernel of truth in a story makes everything in the story truthful seems like no one has ever told tales about Mr. Wickle, which is something I can understand, because who wouldn't want to be around him long enough to find out something interesting that they would pass on. So, but yes, I mean, I would have thought that the stairs up to the steeple would have been proof against hogs assault, or at least even the numbers a little bit. So I think it's a good idea, but maybe not for the reasons Mr. Wickle expands upon.
Excellent. Fantastic. Dandridge, how do you feel about the idea?
I don't really like going to church, and I mean, there won't be there won't be supplies there. There won't be weapons. But maybe when we get closer, we can see some other buildings. But I'm not thrilled about just hiding in a church.
Margin. Wosenbury?
I think the very fact that it's a church is immaterial to the story, in that it is a structure in which one can resist a swarm of hogs. Like it might be a church, it could be a tannery, it could be nunnery, other words that end with "re." So long as it's a building, it should be fine. Bells, well, we'll see when we get there, but there should be some running towards that direction at some point.
Is that something? Is that a suggestion Rosenbury are going to put to the group, and then we're going to start moving down the valley as quickly as possible?
It's a choice, right? So it's either the church or the valley.
No, as in you got to go down the valley. Oh well, but you can choose to do something else. This is merely the most logical thing. I'm not going to put you in literally a valley like that, but that does seem to be a logical place to go.
Yeah, no, yes. I mean, as much as we'd like to do whatever, I don't know if realistically, I don't think we'll last long in a fist fight against these hogmen. So yes, I think Madame Wosenbury, who's kind of holding up the coachman, it's just like, oh, Mr. Wickle, dash your fanciful tales. If it's a building, it'll do. As she's kind of hurrying the coachman up.
Marvelous. Like, we're going to hard cut. Imagine that seems like the hard cut at the end of the scene, and then you're heading down the valley, moving as quickly as you can, which is like it's more of a saunter down the valley due to the level of like A, clothing, but B, person you're carrying. But it's definitely quicker than it could have been. The first place you pass is actually there's a mill. Is the thing nearest the road. It's appears to be derelict, ivy choked, but a yellow cross has been painted onto the door, and there's something which is. The yellow cross on the door is a bit worrying, to be honest. And there is something sharp, shiny, metallic in the upstairs window. It's like it's a mill, so it's like it's a windmill specifically, I think. You don't have to go and investigate, but there's definitely something at the top of it by the look of it. Further down, it looks like the actual the valley narrows a little, and there's a natural choke mark, maybe like a few hundred feet ahead. Everything seems quite quiet at the moment, apart from the distant like baying of the hogs. There's a sort of smell of bacon drifting down the valley. Maybe some of them have crossed the fire barrier.
Oh gosh! So we can't see what the shiny thing is because it's all rainy.
No, it's rainy, and it's also at the top of like a 3-story windmill.
Okay.
Maybe you can ascertain, like, if you would like to try to do a skill roll, I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, having some experience of mills, part of my late husband's business in the region, mills of all sorts are catnip to his capitalist soul. Yeah, indeed. And I wonder in mills, at least, whatever about something sharp, we may find anything, any kind of tool, which might be handy to bulwark our defenses in this little chapel. So perhaps it's I have no idea what this yellow cross means, but I think some tools or weaponry might not go astray.
This sounds great. Lady Catherina, are you going to lead people inside? Have a nose, or is like
why not? Why not? So I don't know. Is there anyone inside? I mean, if we are kind of knocking and demanding entrance,
that's a really good question. Do you want to knock and demand it? Like, you've tried the door. The door does appear to open, but you could certainly knock loudly. That would be the sensible thing to do. The courteous thing to do. But maybe the sensible thing there isn't. Who am I to judge?
I mean, if I were the kind of person who knew that Hogmen were out, which I assume locals do, I would be shooting first and asking questions later. So it might be well to announce ourselves as humans. Plus, it is, as you say, the polite thing to do. So I will, politeness, I'm not sure about that, but I will knock loudly and demand that someone answer the door post haste. We are in a rush, after all.
You knock the door loudly, like this. And everything's very still, and it's, what's the word? You hear, and there's something bustling around upstairs. You kind of realise, like, it's only when you're really listening you sort of catch that, as in something's inside the building. It sounds like someone dragging a sack around, a sack full of wheat or something. Some kind of.
That makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, it does sound like something. It's like a roll of. There's something going on in there with it's a wheat bag and maybe an animal of some kind. Maybe a dog's got up the wheat or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe someone's putting in some extra overtime at the mill. It seems a little bit odd, but perfectly explainable. So I think we may as well enter and have a look-see.
You actually open the door, and you're kind of lucky. Actually, get a moment of actually lucky is probably the wrong word, because you're trapped in the countryside being hunted by an army of hogs. But your luck is on an upswing, as you see crawling up the stairs upwards and through the kind of slightly floor. There's holes in the floor from the level above, and you can see there's a hogman up there, and the hogman appears to have some kind of someone wearing shiny armor, like some kind of one of the king's marksmen. Would be your kind of guess. I was about to say, who's a good person to ask? Lady Catherina, why do you recognise it as a king's marksman's uniform?
Well, my first husband was an ensign in that corps. So, I mean, obviously, I was quite in love with him at the time, I would have thought, and, helped pay to burnish that armor for him on quite a number of occasions. So, yeah, I have a fondness in my heart for this particular martial accoutrement.
That's great. Like, this would not be burnished no more. As in, there's stains all over it. Your ex-husband would be utterly ashamed to be wearing anything this. Of course, it isn't a dog and wheat. It is it's a markman and a hogman. Like, it's like it's just spotted that it's been disturbed. I'll say Lady Catherina's at the front. But does anyone want to push past and try to deal with this Hogman, or have you got a plan? What do you do, Lady Catherina? The Hogman is starting down the stairs towards you.
Well, I mean, I know it's foolish to think that that we could just merely run from this place and not have it relay opposition to its pack or whatever we call Hogmen. But I think we have to deal with the problem right in front of us, and well, deal with the besmirched honor of this cuirass that it's defouled. So yes, I'm in mind to make this Hogman regret ever having come here.
Excellent. Well, that seems.
I know that's not a plan, but that is a statement of intent, and that's all Lady Catherina really needs.
I do have an image of Lady Catherina stepping forward. How dare you? And being very much the energy. You are more hog than man, I say, sir. Okay, the Hogman's coming. Do you want to try to fight it? Or are you going to try to distract it? Or of course, I suspect this might be a good time to use some of their equipment because they're all special abilities. I believe Lady Catherina is good at hitting things. Is it Lady Catherina is good at hitting things?
I mean, I'm a devil in melee, so there's that. Although that is probably not so useful at attacking a single opponent. But I mean, I could just smack him as his foot hits the bottom of the bottom step of the staircase, and I mean, how dare he? I think is all I need to say to get the proper response out of him while my companions, stab him to death or shoot him in the head. I don't care.
I mean, we're in a mill. It seems like a shame if he doesn't get tossed into the rolling wheel of the mill. Into the
millstone, yes.
I mean, obviously that millstone is there and grinding, and it seems utterly a waste to not happen like that. Okay.
Yeah. Although, if we're thinking of upping the budget, I mean, a mere spark in a mill house will probably cause an explosion.
I mean, these sound all like useful consequences on 4 to 5s to me. Marvelous. As I said, so this sounds like Lady Catherina is hitting, and then you're trying to push it in terms of action. That Lady Catherina is trying to slap it, and then you're going to try to disable it by pushing into one of the mills things. Vaguely.
That sounds like a vaguely useful approach. I should say.
Okay, great. Which of your skills would you like to? Which of your 4 skills do you think that is most like?
Well, I guess I am using the special ability.
I was about to say, you can use we failed to mention actually, your ability is to slap someone in the face. So if you want to slap in the face, you could probably create a much easier effect to push him into the thing.
Yeah. So when I use 1 guts to deliver an almighty slap, I stun my opponent.
That's because any normal sort of situation with fighting a Hogman is basically a desperate maneuver. If you've got some kind of ranged weapon, it may go down to risky. But this, I would say that if you slap him, that can take it down to controlled. You get a moment to definitely really mess up this hog person.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Do you want to describe that slap and how it lands?
Yeah, so I think I hurry over to the bottom of the staircase, which he is descending, and I'm holding the lantern up above my head, almost as if to blind him. And then at the last moment, I withdraw it and follow it up with a vicious slap, which, if we were in a proper setting, this would reverberate through the halls and through the gossip channels to eternity. But as it is, I think maybe it's just so defiantly ridiculous that this Hogman has never seen the like of. I mean, people run in terror, people fight to the bitter end. No one has dared ever slap a Hogman. It's just too. It's an outside context problem, maybe, for a Hogman.
I think Ian Banks will be very impressed with that use of outside context problem. The Hogman is slapped. It sounds like this this ham-like faces reverberates and rolls to one side. You have a moment to act. Do you want to? Is the plan to push upon it?
Yeah, I think maybe it would be a good opportunity for a group action. Maybe.
I was about to say it would sound more like group action is probably like. To briefly sort of to listeners, group action is like when you all try to, for example, like climb a building or sneak into a place. A group action, this sounds like more like you want to support it. This is like you're just trying to kill it. Like you've got scale on it, which of course is from a completely different game. I think you've really kind of got what you've got to do is like assist. I think.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Because the reason why is in your standard attack. Okay, if you attack it, it's going to be control. Let's say you do an attack, it's probably going to be something like controlled. Standard effect, which will give you 2 ticks on the Hogman, Hogsman with marksman in mouth thing.
Okay,
and that's not enough to kill it and get rid of it. So what you probably want to, if someone else assists, you can get a +1 effect. I think that might be right.
Okay.
And
that
if you
sounds
want,
fun.
you can also like make it slightly more risky on yourself and change it from control to risky, and you get another +1. So basically, you can basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
So I think what I'm going to do is I have put down the lantern to get a good grip on his whatever like the top of the cuirass that he is wearing, right? And then I have from my hair pull this. Devilishly long and sharp pin, which is on my list of equipment, and I will plunge it through his throat, or at least I will attempt to. And I think I'm getting quite close, right? So I think I am trading my position for extra effect.
That's fantastic. Does anyone assist? I imagine Dandridge is probably the person like who's most following Catherina, being sort of very interested in her. I will note one minor thing about the group before we actually move there. Everyone has brawn 0, so this is an incredibly like physically weak group.
I brought 1. I am somehow the stalwart fighter of the group.
Yes, well, everyone else is better at wit, will, and slide. So, in other words, hide. You know, at some point, hiding may come into play, or talking other people to do the murdering for you. But right now, Dandridge, do you want to assist Lady Catherina?
I feel like she's got it under control, and also I think Dandridge is still just a bit surprised. I think she's ill prepared to act against this Hogman.
I'll assist, Madame Wosenbury, if that's okay.
Oh, so please do. I was about to say, how would you wish to assist?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Because it looks like Lady Catherine has it under control, but I think like the Hogmen, it's like legs try to like flail about and kind of like try to destabilize Lady Catherine's grip. Fortunately, though, Madame Wosenbury has brought her whip, so I will now equip whip, and there's like a crack in the air, as the whip comes and ties the feet of the Hogman together. I don't know how that works in the physics. I've never wielded the whip, but yeah, it makes sense here.
So pause for a second. Can we talk about how, I imagine there's if this is in the TV series, we'll have a flashback to how Madame Wosenbury learned to whip whilst teaching her students.
It's not safe for students how she learned or why she has a whip. It's not something she teaches students or is allowed to.
Excellent. Okay, cut back to the moment. This sounds great. Whip, murderous pin together. Right. I'm just trying to find the cost for actually assisting. It's just 1 guts to assist.
Yes. Yeah, it's under team actions. You can also spend 1 guts to assist another player and give them increased effect.
That's as a note for people watching. Normally, assisting gives you the option to like add a dice, but in this case, no, it's just 1 dice. But this does mean that you have +1 effect for Madame Wosenbury, +1 effect for making it more risky, plus more effect for the awesome pin, I think. And with your 1 basic effect, you're away. It's definitely dead. Or like assuming you roll a 6 on your 1 dice.
Yeah, I will. I guess I'll roll one die. Oh well, that is a 6 after all. Thank you, dice.
I was about to say, you can actually push your spells and spend 2. Like you could actually add an extra dice by spending 2 guts for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was pausing there for. Do I really want to hinge my whole fate on one die? But yeah, I'm being cautious with my economy of guts right now. But I rolled a 6. Talk shit. I can't roll a crit with only one die, but it's as close as I can get.
It's funny you mentioned the phrase "economy of guts" because that's exactly what's happening. There is a surplus of guts coming out of the wheel from the beast, horrifically. There's a moment where it looks like the building's about to be caught on fire, and the Lady Catherina catches the match, preventing this. Everything's okay. Everything's still, apart from the now silent cry of the Hogman. You can go upstairs and actually see what's happening. I was going to say, you have a second. You actually find upstairs the marksman, perhaps unsurprisingly, had an arquebus. An arquebus with ammunition, which sounds pretty fucking useful. Sesame swearing for no reason. And actually, since Lady Catherina did actually mention it, she managed to find there's some gunpowder and some distilled alcohol as well. As you know, like Mills, your husband, one of your husbands know about that. So you've got gunpowder, distilled alcohol, some wheat if you like. Jones, who is the coachman, is sort of leaning against the door. That was incredibly impressive.
Well, thank you, Jones. This is the praise to which I've been waiting all my life.
He sort of blushes. Then he realizes some blood on his face. But you may notice we've ticked one level of the the hog siege preparedness clock because you are now having a fine and sturdy arquebus. Oh, for a moment's check, have you got who's carrying what weapon? Because Lady Catherina has a pin. Madame Wosenbury has her whip. There was a pistol, which abstractly the guy has, but someone else could have took it off him. And they also now have an arquebus. Dandridge, do you have any interest in holding the arquebus, or Mr. Trode Wickle? Have you got an opinion on firearms? Is that under the area of a purveyor of disease?
I mean, I don't think he's very expert with it, but he's probably fired one at some point. And I'd be happy to take it if no one else is going to.
I feel like Dandridge would jump at the chance to have a weapon to protect herself with. I feel like she's.
It's like, did your parents let you not have firearms? Is that one of the things that cause arguments and you being disinherited?
Yeah. I feel like it was probably unladylike to be interested in marksmanship.
Yeah, unladylike to pack in this kind of.
Exactly.
Well, now look, your parents could see you now. Holding this fine piece of military hardware. You hear you hear some noise in the undergrowth as other hogs start echoing the call of the dead one. The Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are coming. It's better time to move on. You may notice I've ticked another part of the proximity clock. I would have probably ticked another one if you did a more complicated failure there, but you managed to do it quite efficiently and get stuff. So this little detour has been an efficient use of your time, because obviously everyone knows a game called Night of the Hogmen is all about economics. Right, we hard cut to you're moving on. Dandridge carrying the rifle, Lady Catherina carrying a pin, Wosenbury carrying a whip, Mr. Trode Wickle carrying a variety of useful diseases. However, you hear a voice calling out, what you doing out there? Identify yourself. You see two soldiers, extremely sodden by rain and mud, standing guarding this pass. The tall of the two looks between the tall of the two look between the group of four, trying to work out who's in charge.
I mean, obviously, I'm in charge, so I've wiped this pin of its gore and brains and other viscera and replaced it in my hair bun. And I am striding forth towards these two soldiers to commandeer their attention, at least. What are you guarding here against, man?
We're guarding the way. We're guarding the way further into the over there. He says unhelpfully. He gestures. There's a barricade behind. This is the natural choke point. You've got some local. There's a plough and like a bit of a carriage and some barrels, and it's a pretty good barricade actually. It would. It may not stop an army of hogmen, but it'll certainly stop you. On the other side of the barricade, there is the short of the two soldiers, who clearly has a pistol and ready. The tall of you with a fine moustache, by which I mean very thin. Speaks like, sorry, you have to turn back. We've been told not to let anyone else through here on the account of the murder abroad.
The murder of Hogmen.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
you understand. You might be.
We understand completely.
Right.
You're going to let Lady Catherina the Grope die under your protection, or not under your protection, as the case may be. That's fine. I shall write a letter to my MP and yours, and you shall be sent to, I don't know, the Americas or something. I don't know.
Like, yeah, the guard on the other side of it goes. Sorry, the guard on the other side, like, sort of whispers, "Oh, we got ourselves a writer," like with their fancy newfangled writing ways. It's a useful threat. It sounds like you're trying to threaten your way past here.
It does indeed. I guess I shall. This sounds like will. I am just imposing my will upon them.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Lady Catherina, I think this will probably take a little time to build up. So, like, Dandridge, have you got like anything you wanted to like anything? Because the way I sort of see this, it's going to be a building argument. So, if anyone else is going to do something, they've probably got time to do it before you do your action. If it makes sense. Like Dandridge, what do you sort of take from the situation?
Yeah, I kind of look at them with disgust, and I'm just like, okay, so you'd rather we just die here 5 feet outside the barricade rather than inside? I mean, we have weapons, we can help defend.
Defend? Okay, that's interesting. And the sort of guard goes, there seems to be sort of a push and pull here in terms of like, I mean, the guards maybe don't want to be out here because it is raining. And and they're sort of they literally take the moment to pause, and then sort of Catherina's level of threats build the climax. So do you want to make the roll and see if you can get them to stand aside?
Sure, yeah. So I'm rolling 2 will. I don't think there's anything else to take into account. Yeah, I don't think so. So 2 dice.
That's right. Is anyone?
Sorry, that's a 2 and a 6.
Wow, the dice are kind. I was about to say, there's immediately the kind of like, oh, we don't want to go to the colonies. Says the one at the back. Oh, come on, I've just bought a new. I've just got started fixing up the house. I can't go to the colonies. Don't let her through. It's not what you know. But the other guy shouts, "We've got orders. Hogmen abroad, stay this side. Your garden will be ruined by the hogmen if we let them through." Oh, go on. And there's a big sigh. Of course, we'll be very happy to let Lady Catherina through, says the taller one. Lady Catherina and company.
Young soldier, I might suggest that there is no one left behind us except for the Hogmen. And so if you want to save your life, you might as well come with us to defend the chapel. But I leave that to your discretion. You can die here, or save us and get all of the thanks that would be due to you.
So we're like weirdly, it's like threatening works. These guys seem pretty brave actually, and they must be pretty brave to be standing here alone when they presumably know hogmen exist. So that's like they sort of shrug, say, "This is what we get paid for." You know, you don't accept the money if you don't want to do the work, do you? Pleasure, you're like, Mom.
I'm rather surprised that they are really getting paid, but hey,
not very much. There's one at the back, pointedly.
you're still probably paying for your uniforms that look like they're going to be rotting off your skin by the end of the night.
Oh, they certainly are.
Whether due to the rain or the Hogmen, I don't care.
So, Madame Wosenbury, and actually, it feels like Lady Catherina probably won't notice this, being, of course, somebody of fine breeding. But Dandridge, who is more used to like dirty clothes, Wosenbury, who's used to like charges who mess up their clothes, Mr. Trode Wickle, who is used to people living in utter squalor and being covered in fungus and stuff. You know, like you definitely, these guys look poor. You know what I mean? Whatever they're being paid isn't a lot to be here, and they're going to stand here and die and try to stop Hogmen because it's their job. What does it make each of you feel? Let's start with Wosenbury, actually.
Yeah, I think like because Lady Catherina was like telling them, asking them like maybe they should just come with, and I think Madame Wosenbury will probably be like, yeah, they're better off with us than just standing here in the rain in the barricade with not much between them and the Hogmen. And I think like as much as like they're complaining about like we get paid, I think like if it's okay, Madame Wosenbury wants to like convince them to like come along with. That's her immediate thought at the moment.
Okay. Mr. Wickle, any thoughts to add to that?
I mean, honestly, I don't know that this swarm of Hogmen will be dispatched without lives being lost. If that's their job, then better them than him, and they hope good luck to them. And
yeah, Mr. Trode, I mean, like
the be more effective fighting them at this barricade, maybe than anywhere else. So
I mean, fighting infection requires a cost, I imagine, and Mr. Wickle knows about such things. But still, this sounds reasonable. Dandridge, what do you think about such bravery from men so common?
I think it's kind of a bummer. They're risking their lives to not really protect very much. And I think she's inclined to try and convince them to do what they can here, but not risk everything. Your garden can be replanted, but if you get mauled by pigmen, then that's kind of it.
Are you sound like you're trying to? Are you trying to? Does Dandridge want to take this into action? Then are you going to try to inspire them in this kind of inspire their sort of like their protectiveness or similar?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, how many kind of people live in this area that they're actually like protecting?
No, we're protecting everyone down the valley.
How many people is that?
Several.
So
there's
like
the farm. What one goes? There's the farmhouse, right? Yeah. And
okay.
Then and then there's the next village down the road. It's quite. You never know when the Hogmen are going to stop.
Sure. Doesn't it make sense to kind of get everyone together and have one big kind of stand?
We are but humble servants, says the one with the thin moustache. We are humble servants of the law and the crown. We took the king's shilling, and we do the king's dying, I guess.
Oh, he's not here. Come on, this will be a way better plan.
So there's as I say, like I'm trying to think like what I'm looking for leverage over them. Obviously, not dying in a ditch, but if you've got like any way of giving them leverage over them, that'd be more likely to get them to agree.
Okay, how about you've already
Sorry, I'm just wondering, could I interject maybe with a shilling of my own?
I was going to say, money is like the universal option, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one on the back goes.
I see silver on the character keeper, but no mention of what it's useful for. So I assume it's good for assuaging their conscience and leaving their post.
That sounds sweet. I was about to say, yeah. So I'm going to say, who wants? I mean, Dandridge just doing the heroism, I guess. So Catherina could pay and Dandridge does the talking, or would Lady Catherina want to do the bribe?
I mean, I think maybe standing behind Dandridge, taking out a small purse, which has obviously got proper money in it, is the supporting action from Lady Catherina.
That's great. Dandridge, would you like to... so your aim is to get them to come with you in exchange for probably gold, I guess.
Yeah. Looks that way.
Right, so let's say, so you roll 1 dice. If you want to push yourself, you can, for 2. Sorry, you can roll 2 dice if you take 2 guts. At the moment, I would say, you're offering 2 silver for them to go,
Sorry, you said I roll 1, but wouldn't it be will?
I was going to say, do you think it's, sorry, do you think it sounds like will or wit? I imagine will is more like resisting stuff, whilst wit is...
Well, the book says will is also persuading.
That sounds great. Honestly, I should have put that in the character sheet. No, thank you. Actually, for one full moment, just to remind everyone, i.e. me, do you want to list what it says beneath the character keeper stuff?
Happily. So it says brawn is fighting, forcing, heaving. Wit is perceiving, comprehending, deducing. Sleight is sneaking, tricking, manipulating. And will is commanding, persuading, and enduring.
Fantastic. That sounds great. I can see why I got confused there.
Yes.
But yeah, that sounds good. In which case you definitely roll 2. Unless you want to push it, then you can roll 3.
I'm good with just 2.
Okay.
Hopefully they will come with us, but let's see. I got a pair of 4s.
That seems complicated. I would say that they end up haggling the one at the back, who's clearly the greedier one, and the one at the front is the one who's really kind of not in. The one who really he's a bit more the dutiful one. The one at the back is probably looking for new sorts of seeds for his garden, and it costs you an extra silver to do it. So instead of 1 silver, it costs you 2. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, sure. I assume no one in the middle of a Hogmen incursion will take a promissory note, so I'll have to give them a cold hard silver right now.
I mean, they've already expressed they're not into writers, so that
that's true. But they'll be shocked at when this Bank of England thing gets its feet off the ground.
I was about to say, you see, it's completely original. The 2 guards sort of nod and sort of we'll come with you then. And they sort of pick up their equipment and pick up their equipment and join this little trail. They sort of say hello to Jones, and the 2 soldiers start following you into the dark. Where ahead of you, you see there's a wagon that's crashed on the road on the approach to the church. At which point we'll have our first break, I think. I bet say till 10 past. Is that reasonable? Cool. I'll see everyone back in 10.
Yep.
So yeah, you see a wagon up ahead, as I mentioned. Let's pick in. So it's raining. We've got this moment. Everything's incredibly damp. You've got a small coterie of men following you around now, which is now there's 7 of you. This is a slightly above a standard adventuring party in D&D. So that's kind of an interesting silhouette heading through the wilderness. You see, there's a wagon way ahead of you, but something distracts you on the way. It's Madam Wosenbury, you're the person who spots it first. What brings you to attention what's the thing that draws you to attention that someone's stuck up a tree to your right?
Ooh. I think it is there was the sound of a shoe falling from the tree onto the muddy ground. It's a very specific sound. It's one that Madam Wosenbury has heard far too many times in her life for some confusing reason. But yeah, I think something falls from the tree, and I think it's a shoe.
And you're entirely right. That very distinct sound of expensive shoe meets sodden earth. You remember it's probably a lecture you once heard of a parson talking about how we are as a species, we are the expensive aristocrat's boot falling from a tree into the mud of creation. Much like the expensive aristocrat's boot has fell into the mud of creation, because there is a very rich man apparently sat up a tree screaming for help to your right. But he's screaming in a slightly nasally voice, which means he can't hear it above the rain. That's the thing, but you could hear them. That's why you could hear the woodbutts. At the bottom of the tree, there is a gang of raging, hairy pigs circling around like targets on a shooting range. Dandridge. There's 3 or 4 of them, Like, this is a serious group of pigs rooting, since that's the word, at the bottom of the tree aggressively. And this very rich looking man is at the top. Like, you definitely have your back. You don't have to get involved. But, he definitely seems to be in trouble. One thing. Who can we... Let's say just Trode. Trode, what gives it away the fact he's French? And if anyone's worried, by the way, I'm not going to do a French accent. Like, I just don't do accents because I'm bad at them. But like, I'm not.
What gives away that he's French? I don't know. Maybe it is that shoe. It's in a distinct style that
the Parisian heel.
Yeah. I mean, either he's French or is a big Francophile and is trying to dress like a Frenchman.
French or a fantastic dresser. These are the options we have here. But yes, there's definitely somebody up this tree who is dressed. Of course, we're quite close to the French Revolution, I would say, in this period. So you might guess he's like he looks a bit like an immigrant aristocrat hiding from the revolution. Also, his hiding at the moment is taking up the halfway up a tree. He's spotted. He seems to have spotted you. He's trying to wave for help. The Hogmen haven't noticed. Like, Lady Catherina, you tend to speak first. What would you say to the group about this peril?
I mean, front rank fire comes to mind. I realize with 3 rifles, it's probably a little bit over exuberant, but hey, in for a penny.
Right,
so
Lady Catherina.
I guess I shall gather up our musketeers, if I can use that name. Dandridge, of course, and our 2 redcoats. And I'll gesture impatiently at the Hogmen or the Hogs, and have at them.
Jones speaks. I could help too, holding his guts and wielding a pistol bravely.
Well, I'm sure, Jones, you shall be able to put one of them. You shall inflict the coup de grace.
I would say the problem here, of course, is getting these rifles aren't necessarily this period's weapons aren't great, so you probably have to get to a position to fire. I think that's the trick here, as in sneaking close enough and then shooting. And this feels that feels like too shooting from here seems low effect, but sneaking closer. Yeah. I mean that's the kind of I was about to say. I'm going to put that into one of the soldiers says that in terms of it's a long way from here. We could get closer though.
I was actually going to ask if all of us opening fire could be a group action. But either way, I was also going to suggest that I could do a group action for a stealthing closer.
Yeah, I was about to say, my suggestion with the way this would probably work is there'll be a group action for everyone firing together, and there'll also be a group action stealthing closer. Of course, if everyone wants to stealth closer.
Well, if people want to stealth closer, I am happy to lead that.
Okay, Dandridge, explain. Talk about the. Tell us what route you're taking. What route are you trying to take close to the gentleman strapped to a tree?
So the pigmen are all kind of clustered around the tree. So if we go over around this hill, we can kind of come up from the side without them getting a good beat on us.
That seems legit. The way the group actions work is that everyone rolls action dice for whatever their thing is, and I imagine that's the stealth one. Slight, that means people can suggest their actions, but slight would be the one I would like to suggest, I think. And then anybody who fails, Dandridge has to spend the guts, so that you can't. And we get the best result in the room. I'm going to roll for the people with you, and they have 1 dice success, which I'm just literally hacking Band of Blades into here somehow, which is seems to be a thing. Does it sound reasonable? In terms of things that can go wrong, just to sort of speak broadly, obviously them spotting you is the worst thing that could possibly, and you have to suddenly deal with the hogs charging you. But generally, things get making attention. I guess. Right, everyone roll and see how that goes.
So with a 0, Kieran, we're rolling 2 and taking the worst result, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a 1 and a 3, so either one is giving Dandridge not stress, guts.
How dare you?
How does Madam Wosenbury do?
Ooh, that's not great. That's a 3.
Okay.
I'm not stealthy. I'm used to like lecturing people and getting attention.
I was going to say, I can really see like leave a Lady Catherina Wosenbury on nature's sneakers. I'd say. And what about Trode? How does Trode do?
I rolled a 2.
Oh no! Right, the troops rolled a 4. Dandridge, what did you roll?
I rolled a 6.
So you do it.
We do it.
But I'm about to say, okay, the images. Catherina, Wosenbury, and Wickle. I want each of you in turn to say how you almost alert the, how do you almost alert the Hogmen? And Dandridge, tell me how you stop them entirely messing it up. So starting with Lady Catherina.
So I think Lady Catherina is maybe trying to pay too much attention to exactly what these soldiers are up to, and she's afraid that they are, despite whatever advice they gave earlier, they're going to open fire far too soon. So she is maybe berating him a little bit, like not yet. We're going to fire. I mean, she says we in the royal sense, of course, because she's not got a firearm. We're going to fire with Dandridge, of course. So I think she's talking too much for a sneaking kind of action.
That sounds great. Dandridge, how do you manage to stop that?
Yeah, and Dandridge just kind of falls back and is like, "Shh, focus on what we're doing. We're about the other stuff after."
Why?
I mean, I think it is very stressful to shh Lady Catherina, and and maybe that's it.
As a moment, it's like, is Catherina touched by this forceful young lady, or is Catherina offended at the overstep of bounds? Awesome.
I mean, both. Can I be both?
Oh, definitely.
I am impressed, but resolved to wreak revenge on Dandridge when I have a moment.
How dare!
But I will be quiet, I suppose, is the main thing.
Excellent. Madam Wosenbury, how do you give the game, or almost give the game away?
I think I'm going to waste. Well, it's not a waste. Pick up one of my equipment. I think there's a moment where Madame Wosenbury almost hears the Hogmen, almost kind of notice them, and she kind of panics. She goes for a whip, but instead accidentally picks up her brass horn. And there's one where she pulls it up, and she realizes the brass horn and kind of panics and almost kind of slips from her grasp. And if it falls to the ground, it's going to make an unholy noise.
Dandridge, how do you stop this clown show happening?
Dive over, fully prepared to catch the horn.
Okay, in my head, this is like a John Woo kind of action shot of you diving to rescue the horn and then just not squeezing it. Good work.
I mean, I have a matching brass trumpet, slightly damaged. I feel like
you turn and sorry, Trode, what are you doing that nearly gives the game away?
I feel like when I saw the brass horn, I had to oh, you play too.
Marvelous. Okay, for a second, what's Mr. What sort of music does Mr. Trode play? And I don't know enough about the period music either. So.
I mean, yeah, I actually don't think he's very good. So I think he would like to play
surprise me.
What is he playing? So I mean, I think he's playing orchestral, but just the trumpet part.
Do you mind if I give a suggestion? It says brass horn. Should we make this a French horn? Just for context. I mean, a French horn is a kind of brass horn. Hmm. Okay. Oh, and Dandridge. Are you? How
Yeah,
are you gonna sorry. How are you going to stop the horn play?
So okay, so I'm thinking kind of like remove my soaked outer coat and just kind of stuff it in the bell. Just like, what are you doing?
Yes, Dandridge's exasperation with the male members of the party is reaching a whole new level. Trode, how do you feel about this this piece of very rude music criticism from this young woman? Sorry, that was addressed. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. That's fine. We don't really have time to do it now anyway, but I'm mostly play by myself, so I was excited to see someone else who plays.
That's exciting. There is that moment of like, okay, the social embarrassment is kind of played out here across all the group, and that you're in position in the perfect firing line. This is straight out of Dandridge's like toy soldiers books, I imagine, in terms of like like Dandridge. What do you want to do now? Like everyone's in position, and the Hogmen are still, and the Frenchman is waving at you. His face paint sort of running down his face, giving him a sort of clownish demeanor.
Well, time to shoot the Frenchman. Yeah. I guess if everyone's still kind of looking to me for what to do, which I imagine they are after they just did not know how to walk quietly, I'll just kind of try and get everyone on the same page. Like, all right, get in stance, take aim, and on my mark, everyone fire.
Great. The soldiers are listening. The soldiers have kind of like they view you as some kind of like prodigy, and maybe they're not quite understanding what's happening. And one of them's like lost a lot of blood, so they're definitely following orders. As I say, we're going to say group only, but since only NPCs have guns, I think it should just increase your effect. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say this is the four. You would need 4 successes to make this work entirely and drive them off. So there'll be 2 successes for all the guns, an extra success for the guys you're firing with. So you can push. So somebody can assist for extra effect, or you could push yourself for extra effect, or you can get a bit closer.
I will assist with my trumpet.
That's jokey side. That's not even. That's a really good moment, as in like the.
Just distract them. Yeah.
No, it's like or even like timing with the firing is correct. Over the rain, it must be quite a difficult thing to coordinate.
So the problem is, I imagine. Actually, I guess I don't know which stat would shooting be.
I reckon this is command because you're shouting a bunch of people.
Okay, that absolutely works for me.
In this position, since there's 3 guns which aren't yours, it's kind of a commandy thing for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So I currently, assuming that I succeed, I currently have enough effect,
You do, yeah.
right?
Risky standard is enough to do it in this case.
Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want another die.
It's worth noting when we're talking about guts, and when you max out your guts, you can't spend any more guts, but you end up picking hysteria, and basically your hysteria is a piece of just breaking down, really.
And it would be 2 guts to get another die.
Yes.
I'll stick with just the 2 dice then. Let's roll this.
I was about to say, the rules are actually separate from what it says on the sheets, because the rules say you can use guts after you become hysterical. But every time you have to pick a new kind of hysteria. Whilst the sheets say you can't, doesn't it? It says when hysterical you can't use guts. The actual rules say you can, but you gain extra hysteria. I prefer the rules of gaining extra hysteria because the level of complete nervous breakdown strikes me as in genre. Does people agree with that, or would they go the other way? Right. In which case, yeah,
Yeah,
I noticed that has in
for a one shot, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell with it then. I will spend 2 guts for a 3rd die.
I'm encouraging people towards this.
Yeah, let's go big. Yeah, I got a 6 in there.
Excellent. Like, could you describe what's your precise order you give to the soldiers to fire on time, and describe the effect upon the massed banks of pigs baying?
Yeah, so I kind of one by one go down the line and give each person a specific target, and kind of make sure they've got it. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, fire, and on fire, let loose, and then everybody take aim. 1, 2, 3, fire, and just everybody unloads into their respective pigs.
Yes, in a night of natural thunder, like humankind's thunder rains out, and the pigs are hit by this fusillade. Fusillade? That's not even a word. Fuselage? Whatever. And trust it, it's the shock hits them and they're gone. I think that's the thing. Like, 4 shots isn't enough to kill the hogs at this range, but it's certainly enough to drive them off. They head off into the woods, surprised. Maybe they'll be back soon. The Frenchman is sitting. The person dressed in the French style is sat in the tree, sort of fuming, waving at you.
Are we back?
Yeah.
Well, quickly, let's get down and let's go.
And it says, your servant people should fetch me a ladder.
If you've got yourself up there, you can get yourself down, and there's no ladder.
My horse got me up here. I was attacked by these strange people, and they made my horse start and has ran off, and I flew through the air and landed in this tree.
Sure, there is no ladder. You'll get down immediately or be left to your own devices. Whatever natural patience and grace Lady Catherina has is not available for Frenchmen, and certainly not.
How high up is he?
Like, about like 10 feet or so. Like, he could possibly hurt himself if he fell, but not too badly. And it is muddy down there.
It is muddy. Who is the least wounded NPC we have with us?
Like, the 2 soldiers are entirely unwounded. I was going to say, Catherina, if you wanted to order him to jump down, you completely could do that with like just a will roll and see what happens. Or we can do a more complicated.
Ordering him to jump down. I mean, he can. Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to say, could he climb down, and then like 10 feet is really on a fall of 4 if he holds on and then drops at a. I mean, I don't know anything about tree climbing. This seems all rather common sense to me, but maybe not to a French nobleman.
Yes, I would say like that's a reasonable thing to want to do for a will roll, if you like. I would say consequences are like, if you succeed, he'll just come down, and the consequence if you don't will be he may fall because he's so scared of you. That strikes me as a very.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a win-win to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Either he will do what I want, or he will be afraid of me. Okay. Okay. So, did you say will roll?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 2 4s, so a 4.
That's complicated. I was about to say, like, he is so offended and shocked, he immediately obeys, and he says, "You remind me of my my governess back in Versailles." He says, as he immediately falls and kind of like twists his ankle a bit. But he says, "Hello, I am Louis. A charm to meet you in these awful occasions. Are you the socially important one?" He says, pointing at Catherina.
Well, if you need to ask, my boy.
Sorry, it is very rainy, and I'm most confused by this. Honestly,
Well-
I escaped from. I was a baying mob of pig people attack in France, and now I come all the way to England, and it's here. This is just not on. I will have a word with the king.
I mean, it is most irregular, but this far north, maybe it happens every Wednesday. I don't know.
Excellent. He sort of nods.
I would. We are traveling to a nearby church to barricade ourselves and to defend our lives. If you want to get any of your luggage, which you can carry yourself, then we will give you a moment.
So, no, I think my horses ran off. So horses
Yes.
run off a lot in this particular.
They
section.
do. They're uncannily genre aware.
Yes. Perhaps we should learn from these horses and make ourselves scarce. Charmed to meet you. Which of you will be carrying me?
You are one of our party now, Louis, so you will carry yourself.
Hmm.
And or we will hobble you and leave you for the Hogmen.
Very well. And he accepts this. I'm taking one on the proximity clock and one on the preparedness clock. Because he's not, he's actually got a saber, and he seems to think he knows how to do it, and he's quite good at shouting. That's actually the immediate thing you get, because you notice the soldiers immediately started obeying his orders just by the sheer level of privilege that was radiating out from him. But fantastic. Your new friend Louis joins your two soldiers and Jones, the bleeding horse person, who is increasingly confessing things to Madame Wosenbury about his hopes and fears.
And Madame Wosenbury is kind of like she's putting on her understanding governess face. The of course, yes. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it's okay. Yes. Good. Okay.
Marvelous. Right, we're going to hard cut to you're heading back. You're back on the journey with your small, impromptu, muddy party of aristocrats and working class brave soldiers. There is basically there's a covered wagon. Now, it's basically the one problem is obviously the Hogmen are coming. And that you're definitely increasingly aware of this as there's more sounds in the woods as you're kind of heading past them. You pass this wagon abandoned. The people in it are gone now. There's a prisoner in a cage in the back who looks confused and who's growling at you.
I think if it's okay, Madame Wosenbury's gonna kind of without anyone saying anything, we'll kind of come closer to the growling prisoner. I say, it sounds like you're having a bad day there, sir, or ma'am, or well, I guess anyone would have a bad day. It's terrible. It's a night lousy of bad days.
You're just leaning in. This guy's growling quite aggressively, and he just doesn't seem to be particularly happy at all. And then some voices disturb you. I'm sorry. What are you doing? Oh, we have no idea where that man. We have no idea where that man's from. So there's two people coming out of the woods. They're a young couple, and they appear to be the lady and the man are both in some level of distress of their clothes. They appear to have maybe got tangled in a bush or had to dress hurriedly for some reason. But why any young person would be out in the middle of the woods with a carriage at this time of night? Who could possibly say? The guy is dressed in an open shirt. He looks like a romantic poet. Is the image. I would say that, and his hair is still kind of it's windy. He's got sort of hair that gets wet, but the wind catches it, so it looks really dramatic. And the woman is basically, if she got transformed into a flower, she'd be like all of them. I guess she's a bouquet of a human being.
Dandridge is immediately in love with both of them.
They are literally. This is we don't know anything to do with this, and we've got no idea how it got on our carriage. Says the poet. He has to be a poet. in a sing-song voice.
Well, well, then I guess I'm presuming that this is your carriage. You
Yes, but I stress, not our person.
well, quite frankly, Madame Wosenbury waves at the the party, the coterie of people we've gathered. None of them are ours as well, but it is a night for ganging up as many souls as we can together against the Hogmen. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, but everyone's person at the moment. Are you two in distress?
No, to be honest, she's barely in her dress. That's a kind of definitely the kind of vibe you would get there. But no, we're having it was a lovely ride we're having. It's worth knowing the horse and cart. When I say horse and cart, I mean an oxen and cart. This is kind of much more like there's a level of like rural like life to this, with a kind of thing. As in, no, we're perfectly fine. We were just having a little relaxation
Out in the rain.
Yeah, under the nature's canopy. We are a great believer in the connection between the natural animal and its connection with the world. Have you ever read Rousseau?
Oh, well, I've certainly glanced at Rousseau, but as far as I'm concerned, that man may have a window into the recesses of the mind, but he has scarcely opened a window into the practicalities of the mind and nature. You'll catch your death of cold, and that is far too little covering for these kinds of nights. Hogmen be damned. Sure, you'll have a particularly lovely romp for a second or so if your man's performing quite right, but you'll live to regret it the day after. I think Madame Wosenbury is getting really heated up on this. This is disgraceful. This is just like how doesn't even look comfortable. The two of them.
Byron has Casper, for that is his name, has covered the ears of Florence, for that is she. Says, please, we are sensitive, poetical souls. We're a romantic nature. That you are, please, what go on your way. We are simply relaxing. What matter is it? It's up to you.
Well, it just so happens that one, you are exposing yourself to the elements in more ways than one. Did you know that there is a higher chance of fungi living in your mouth than there are in your feet at the moment? And who knows how much fungi is being exchanged between the two of you? Two, the countryside at the moment is lousy with hogmen preying on those that they could prey upon. And not on the biblical sense, although the two of you...
At this moment, Florence interrupts you and goes, but Hogmen don't exist.
Madame Wosenbury's kind of like trying to be patient. I understand you might have heard some outlandish tales of Hogmen in your beautifully blissful lives, but I believe myself and waves at the party and my coterie of friends, gentlemen and otherwise, will attest to the existence of Hogmen and will attest to having some rather harrowing experiences with said Hogmen. And well, I would prefer that their experience will be the sum of your experience with Hogmen, rather than you having to experience them yourself.
But as the idea of the Hogmen, nature as an abomination, is an offense. It's offensive to me that all God's creations are beautiful in this way. Like, this is why it is clearly just some kind of like propaganda. That it's an insulting the simple people of the fields by saying they're akin to hogs. I was about to say, we'll have a pause for a moment. I was like, I want to know what everyone's opinion is of poets. Like, has anybody got an experience of poets that comes to mind here with this very highly refined romantic sentiment? Can we start with the master of fungi himself, Mr. Trode Wickle?
Yeah, I don't think Trode really understands the point of poetry.
Especially now, I imagine.
Yeah, certainly at the moment, but yeah, in general, yeah, I don't think Trode.
Excellent. Dandridge, how do you feel about poetry?
I feel like I probably find it super romantic and find the idea of being, this kind of free spirit poet also super romantic. So like I said, I'm into them.
That's fantastic. Catherina?
Well, I think the inability to discern metaphor from reality is a shootable offense in Lady Catherina's mind, and that is what she did to her third husband. And given the tripe he was writing, no jury of her peers would find her guilty. Not guilty by way of his insanity, I think, was the official verdict given down by the jury. So yeah, I mean, fine in their place as some kind of a status symbol for the rich to have poets on their books, but this kind of nonsense is beyond the pale.
That is. Honestly, I've just written third husband murdered for bad poetry in my notes, which is, I think that if you're going to sum up this game, you might actually sum it with that sentence. And finally, the person who's dealing with these kind of like these hired spirits, Madame Wosenbury, how are you feeling about poetry right now?
Madame Wosenbury has nothing against poetry, like many like many things. It is a medium, like theater, like music. In fact, she actually has published a volume of poetry, although it had to be published under a man's name. I'm committing to this third equipment, so I've deprived myself of a pistol from this list of equipment. But yeah, Madame Wosenbury is there's nothing against poetry itself. It is these. It is these poets that she has something against, you know.
I was just saying, and let's click at that moment. Okay, what name were you published under?
Oh God. Hold on. Let me. Okay. I think it is Theodore Walsingham.
Theodore Walsingham. It's like, and this moment, the poet says, and of course, it is like the great Theodore Walsingham, Dad. And he quotes one of your lines, talking about how the sanctity of nature and the poetry and all, and he's quoting at length and very precisely.
Oh God! Oh no! This is Madame Wosenbury's worst nightmare. She's met a fan, and they're terrible. In fact, like I think like Madame Wosenbury says, I appreciate your taste in poetry, good sir, but have you know that you're taking that line out of context on the poem on which it was placed on. That poetry on the wings of wisdom was meant to symbolize how one should not be blinded by the fanciful natures of the world and forget about the practicalities of life itself. And I think like Madame Wosenbury's voice is getting louder. She's getting really annoyed.
This sounds great. This sounds incredibly impassioned. I was like this could definitely convince them. So you want them to come along, strucken by your poetical insight.
Yes. Yes, I'm gonna roll with my will for sure.
I would like to.
Sorry, I was about to say, like, you will affect. We'll see. Sorry, Trode. You were saying you want to assist.
I was going to assist with my tin full of horrible parasites as an example of nature not always being filled with beauty.
That seems like that sounds fantastic. That definitely is enough effect. So 3 dice.
Yeah. What's the position here?
Also, the position is actually like. I'm going to say risky standing because it's only risky because where you are.
That is true. My voice is getting louder, but it's fine. It's fine. 3 dice. Risky. Okay. Roll this. Wow, the dice have been kind. There's a 6.
Nice. That means you got it. Like they're kind of. There's the moment. It's like. Wosenbury, what do you say about the maggots that help underline the final point?
I think Madam Wosenbury will say, like, yes, nature can be beautiful, but it can also be horrible and grisly and cruel and arbitrary and squirmy and nasty. But that it itself is also beautiful. But never forget that nature is hungry, as Madame Wosenbury points at the maggots probably feasting on some kind of fungus. Nature takes and puts back, and sometimes it can be beautiful, but most of the time it is what it is.
So they do the moment of like they have the moment they both are both dumbfounded. And Florence looks at Casper and goes, "Maggots," and he looks back going, "Maggots. We are maggots. We writhe like sensuous beings beneath. Oh, now I see. Nature can be horrific. Maybe Hogmen could be real. No, that is impossible. But truly, dangerous things are afoot. And this is a true critic. Perhaps I could read my poetry to you," says Casper, starting to read poetry as you start to head away. Right, I'm also ticking a proximity clock because we spent some time here reciting poetry. The Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are coming. Definitely by this point, the hog clock is half full, so you're definitely maybe starting to see stuff moving. Luckily, it's getting closer. Like you're heading towards the rolling of the hill downwards. There's a farmhouse towards the right. There's someone at home in there. There's a lantern glowing in the window. So and its doors are kind of like its doors are shut, but the path leads ahead. But yeah, there's a farmhouse here. It's like a moderate-sized farmhouse. One of the two soldiers goes, "Be careful here. I would just carry straight on. These people are weird."
Oh.
Weirder than the people we already have?
They look between, like, to us, the soldiers look between each other, and then at the Louis, and then at the poets, and does a kind of shrug. And this kind of, "Who am I? I'm a simple working man. Who am I to judge my betters?"
Well. Oh wait, no, I don't think Madame Wosenbury heard this. She's too busy dealing with Casper and Florence.
I imagine like Catherina and Trode are probably. Dandridge is sort of leading the troops and probably mooning over the two poets. Lady Catherina and Mr. Trode are probably at the front of the party. Are you going to stop off in this house, or are you going to carry and press on?
I mean, I'm inclined to get another, few people in. But I don't know what our esteemed royal disease collector thinks.
I mean, seems we should at least stop and tell them to come along.
Who's the terrible thing to do? So who knocks on the door? Catherine or Trode?
I'll go knock.
Trode, of course, you are the royal disease inspector. You have the all the authority needed. You rap on the door. Immediately it opens, and a guy stands there. Enormous beard, enormous hair, not enormous anything else. He's a tiny, wiry man. He looks like that kind of dandelion, like an aggressive dandelion would be the kind of vibe I would say. Yes,
we're all headed to the church. You'd be safer if you joined us.
No, we can't possibly. I can't possibly. The master needs me here.
The master of the house? Can we talk to him?
No, the master.
But that's not an answer to the question. Can we talk to your master?
Can you talk to the master?
Can we?
Can you?
Turn to the guards. I'm like, yep, see what you mean.
The master needs me here to look after everything in the cellar.
I think you should come with us. Well, the Hogsmen are here, and you can return when they're gone.
It's like this one thing is like, oh, I've work to do. I have to batten all the windows down. And you make me realise he's actually got. If you look, he's actually been kind of barricading this house by himself, and he's clearly he's quite an actual good. He may not be entirely like he clearly has issues, but he's very good at actually protecting. You know, he's good at nailing and stuff. He's a handyman. He's a carpenter. He's an efficient person. He also clearly has reason to be here. The master needs me here. A voice comes to me and says, sorry, a voice echoes.
Excuse me, is your master...
A voice echoing, oh, don't mind him here. He's a fool. Come here, you know, just have some nice food or something. I'm just baking a pie.
Well, that's very kind of you, sir, but we must be going. The Hogmen are abroad, and our estimate is between 30 and 50 of them, who will surely run over your homestead, as well prepared as it might be. I'd advise seeking refuge in the church.
Well, it's like the guy, the farmer. I think what name. Him. Let's call him him, and her are the two people here. And him, as I said, is like aggressive dandelion, and her is very much like the Jack Sprat nursery rhyme. Like she is a much more rounded figure, and he is like this string of meat, and she just kind of like breathes it. But you can't go out in this weather with an empty stomach, and I've just been cooking. Anyway, ignore him. I have not spoke to him directly for 10 years.
Well, that is very wise, and
yes, it is. He was very rude to me that time.
I suspect that is the key to a successful relationship: zero contact.
The poets in the back shout, except for spiritual contact. And there's a generally like spiritual, you get suspicion there, spiritual contact does involve a lot of physical contact. Anyway. And she said, let them in, it's raining.
I'm afraid we are far too sodden already for any respite, any temporary respite. So if you convince yourself you're not going to move on to save your lives or your masters, then we will bid you good night.
There's a pause here, at which point there's an enormous cry of hogs coming from the forest. The Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are coming, whisper the guards. I've just clicked at one of the proximity clocks as the situation continues to get worse. The man says, the master needs me here. I have business in cellar. And the woman says, don't worry, I'll follow you up in like 10, 15 minutes. If you don't want to stay for a nice bit of pie and assorted other victuals, that's on you. I'll catch you later, she says, turning back to the oven, leaving you outside the door with the guy staring at you hungrily.
Well, what's in the cellar?
Do you want to come see?
Can't you just tell me?
No. Come. And he leads. He kind of starts trying to lead Madame Wosenbury out by herself towards the back of the house in the cellar.
Miss Dandridge, I'm sure Madame Wosenbury will agree that going into weirdos' cellars on the first invitation is a bit of a faux pas. And I would recommend heavily against it if you are to remain one of our companions.
Agreed.
Well,
it's okay. We don't need to see the cellar. It's fine.
You sure?
Well, maybe a faux pas in some circles, but none of the ones I've been to recently. I think Wosenbury leans away from the farmer towards the other two ladies. I'm not exactly sure what's in the cellar. It could be what it is. He says it's their master, but well, he seems really useful.
It could be a murder cult.
Could be a murder cult. But no worries, my dear ladies. I've dealt with murder cults before, and
Pause. Tell me about the time Madame Wosenbury dealt with a murder cult.
I think we just get.
I'm not sure we have record scratches in this era, but I think we have one now, right?
I think definitely that almost at the mode I've got is anytime anyone says something ridiculous, we hard cut back to the just like a half-second scene of like them doing something ludicrous. Madam Rosemary, what do we see in this scene?
Yes. I think we get a very contextless like shot of Madame Rosemary like opening a blood splattered door, going inside, and just kind of like we don't see what she's seeing, but she just kind of like makes like oh no kind of like face. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's like yeah, and we're just hearing like some grisly noises off screen. I think it's just kind of like, oh dear, there goes my current employment.
Marvelous. Oh, that's like right. In which case, what's everyone doing? Like now, everything's happening. So the lady's like still cooking pies inside. He's trying to urge people going around the back. The soldiers and the poets and the Frenchman are sitting in the cart with the guy who's still in the cage.
So many people.
That's why it's called that's why it's called a party, because this literally is now a party, I guess.
I think the guy Madame Rosemary is just like, I'll be able to take care of him for sure, but if we could get him to come along, it would certainly increase our chances. He's terribly good at this whole battening down the hatches. But
any idea how you could trick him? Any idea how you could trick him into this?
Well,
I mean, just tell him the master needs him in the church. If it doesn't work,
it's like, I will say at this point, the disinherited daughter does not use any of their equipment.
Oh, that's true.
I was about to say, like, this structure is a really possible use for anybody's equipment at this point.
I'm committed to like mine, so I don't think a brass horn or a volume of poetry is gonna do it for him. I don't know if I want to use a whip on him unless he's into that. Yeah.
Well, he hasn't been asking for his master, I guess. This is kind of.
I thought I didn't want to go there because that'd be too obvious, but you know what? It's.
No, this is like yeah. We definitely like. There's a veil here, so.
Yeah.
Make this their sentence.
I think Madame was just like, I'm open to just letting him be, but the more we have together, the more chance we have against the Hogmen. Isn't that the sensible thing?
Yeah, let me try something. I'm going to mark off one of my equipment, which is a diary written in an obscure cipher. And I'm going to rip a page out of it. So it's just complete drawing in symbols, which is meaningless to anyone who looks at it. And I'm going to hand it to him and be like, we have a letter from the master. You're supposed to come with us to help protect the church.
He sort of looks at it very intently, and he says, that's obviously I can read this, but that's what it says. Of course.
He said you'd be able to.
This sounds great. Like, do you want to... What do you reckon this is? What action do you reckon this is? Maybe... I reckon it's sleight, weirdly.
For manipulating.
Yeah. I mean, it feels... The fact you have both sleight and will the same anyway makes it kind of an open choice. Anyone to assist here? Because this is pure strikes me as a limited effects thing, despite being him a guy. So people might want to push or assist to increase effectiveness.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I was about to say I'm willing to, because I've got more guts available. But I think if Madame Wosenbury is in a better fictional position, and you don't mind,
yeah. I'm curious what happens when we get to hysteria. So yeah, I think I'll spend that guts, and I think I'm kind of like next to Dandridge as I am kind of like adding to fiction that like we also kind of like serve the master. That's why we have this book. We have their instruction and whatnot, and we were we were told to find, one of the master's servants and unite with him, with said servant to carry on his will. After all, you've been alone for so long without anyone else who serves the master, and the master simply thought that it's time for us to come together. That seems like the most sensible option, wouldn't you think?
That seems good. Let's see if he buys it.
All right, so 2d6.
Yep.
6 and a 1, yes.
Well, that's like, yeah. Well, if the master wants it, I guess. I suppose it's just... Usually the master makes me want to lock people in my cellar. But, like, the master today must want to go to the church. Really weird. Are you sure he doesn't say... I mean, is there another page about cellars?
No. I mean, you can see what it says right there.
Maybe the church has a cellar.
He looks at Mr Wickle excitedly. Maybe it does. And he decided immediately that Trode is his best friend. What is it about Trode that this farmer immediately likes?
Everyone else, when he leans in close to talk to them, leans away, and Trode actually leans forward because he's trying to like examine his pupils and get a look at his teeth.
There is an interesting fungal growth on his tongue. So, like, this might be actually a scientific breakthrough. This farmer cum specimen. Marvelous. I was about to say, like, are you going to do anything with the farmer's wife? There's a moment. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask her, like, she said she was willing to come along, right?
Yeah, but she's just waiting to cook. I would say, by the time you get back to the room, there's a Hogman's just burst in the back window, climbing through, and and the lady just goes, "Oh, more guests!" She says excitedly. Yeah, the Hogmen are definitely getting close now. Like it's quite a risk to actually get her out of here, or you could just run because everyone else appears to be getting onto the cart. I was like, the person nearest is actually, I guess, Trode and Catherina nearest the door. If Dandridge and Wosenbury were shouting at the man, like, do you want to try to rescue her? Or
yeah, I was about to say before the Hogmen interrupted my train of thought that maybe the sign of a nice quince tart might convince her that really we have enough food to keep us going while we're there. But if we're just rescuing her, I guess I will have to have at these rude Hogmen and just slap them around the place.
I was about to say, are you sure you want to get into a fight or just try to escape with it? I mentioned this because I'm saying the fictional situation, as in if one Hogman's turned up, more might be bursting into the door any second. So it's kind of like...
Yeah. So I mean, I'm presuming if I am going to try to rescue her, I am going to get into a fight. Maybe somewhat pessimistically, but.
Oh no! I mean, so what I was asking for is, what was the action you're trying to achieve in this particular moment? As in, are you going to go and try to stop the Hogman, or are you trying to get her out of the room, away from the Hogman?
I'm trying to get
anything else.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her out of the house and away to safe. Well, a temporary safety, at least.
That sounds like a great plan. Trode, do you want to assist her in any way, or?
Yeah, I'll definitely assist. Just, are we just kind of grabbing her and just?
Actually, I'd say, like, it's the weird thing about the system. The fact that the games remove the extra dice for assist, you only increase effectiveness. So I don't. Oh, that's the thing that the game. You can actually also jump in after a consequence has happened and try to take the consequence instead. So that's the sort of area where it might be more helpful. Actually, no, sure. I'm going to just put the Hogman. I'm going to put escape the Hogman as a clock, and your assist can help increase escape the Hogman. That's the way to do it. Right, I would say this is actually desperate standard, Catherina, because it's there's a Hogman like rampaging, maybe another one. It's kind of really getting intense. So this would make prevalently it's desperate standard. So there'll be 3 ticks that includes Trodes +1.
Okay.
So if you want, you can push. If you have equipment relevant, you can use that and get a +1, or you could push for 2 stress for the other +1 to get out the person.
Yeah. So I think I will push. So I'll mark 2 guts to get an extra die, right? Or no, to get extra effect, is it?
Yes, to get extra effect.
And then I think in order to create a distraction, or at least to confuddle or Hogmen arrivals, out of my bag will jump a small, ill-tempered dog. Some kind of very well-groomed terrier. A proper English breed, not one of these French fluffballs. The player says, looking at his French fluffball over on the couch. And yes, Henry, the dog's name, Henry will jump out of the bag, zip into the kitchen, nip at the Hogman's heels, and he'll be back in my bag in a jiffy as we get the cook out of danger.
This seems perfect. And literally, I just wrote "distracting pet" in Die, which is the game I'm writing at the moment, literally today. So this feels like good closure. Fantastic. But look, you're pushing yourself. You would actually have enough effect to solve the problem with the dog and Trode's help. So you don't need to push, but you can push for an extra dice.
I think I'll push for an extra die instead. Yeah.
Cool. This sounds great. I want to know what happens. In terms of
so is this wit or is it?
I would say brawn's physical stuff, and wit. What is it? Like wit is intelligence mainly, isn't it? So brawn, it just feel like. Unless you would like to try something else.
No, brawn sounds good to me. So I'm rolling 2 dice. And a 6, yes. The dice love us tonight.
Okay, describe I think we can actually almost cut to the we've already seen the dog description. We don't need that. So then the doors shut. Trode's rescued you. All the Hogmen are inside and rampaging the building. The woman cries, "My pies!" She says loudly, and she turns, looks at Catherina in the eye, and says, "The Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are here."
Well, I'm glad you're able to be such a clear-eyed woman in times of peril like this, and that's exactly who we need on our side. And I think maybe we see the farmer hammering in, blockading the Hogmen from the outside. And meanwhile, we're passing by the kitchen window, whereupon on the ledge some of the pies are cooling, and I think we might be able to save 1 or 2 of them while the Hogmen are busy beating down the door.
That's great. We're going to hard cut. We're going to hard cut for you. Actually, we're about to. Actually, we'll do the last thing before the last break. Everyone's in the car, heading along, leaving the Hogmen fight, eating the pies. At which point, unfortunately, these pies appear to be slightly poisonous. And the old lady goes, "Oh, of course not. The pies were for getting rid of witches. The rest of the food was fine." But everyone has now slightly poisonous pies as an item, and everyone must resist the consequence with guts. Otherwise, they have to take low level of harm.
Beautiful.
Actually, I was about to say, how resistance works is you roll 1 dice and subtract it from 6, and that's how much stress you take. And if you want to take harm, you can just write gut pains at level 1 harm. So it's your choice which way you want to do it. Oh, let me just actually double check something. So I'm just seeing how they've simplified resistance. Oh, you roll a number of dice equal to your stat, I think.
Yeah, it says to resist injurious consequences, roll against an applicable attribute, like brawn to resist physical harm, and then subtract the highest result from 6. And that's your guts cost.
I would say this is will, actually, because will also includes your ability to resist stuff, as in like emotionally fortitude. So everyone roll your will and subtract from 6, and that's the amount of stress you take, unless you want to have the painful stomach gut stuff.
I rolled a 5 as my highest die, so I'm taking one, marking 1 extra guts.
Nice.
Same.
4, so I'm marking 2.
I'm going to take the gut pain because I don't want a pie to be what sends me over the edge.
Mate, that would be the thing that it's like it's already the extra the straw that breaks the camel's back, isn't it?
True.
Great. Anyway, Dandridge is feeling really sick, and we'll get this moment as the oxen cart is pulling up towards, and the church is visible and looming before you. Right. You approach the church, tall stone walls, a church of God, a place of safety for spirituality, but also the aforementioned really strong stone walls. You arrive there, the ox cart, and your assorted people gathering. You very quickly discover that the priest has left and abandoned the place entirely. On the other hand, this means it's now left to your own devices. You have probably heard, you hear the distant baying of the pigs growing ever more closely. You have a little time to prepare. I'm going to go around and ask each person what's the sort of main thing they do to prepare. And of course, remember we have our resources of people you brought with us, as well as also the equipment you picked up and stuff like that. So if you've got vaguely describe how you want to try to what preparation you want to do, and then we'll have a little a final moment of respite before the horror. Shall we start with Dandridge? Actually, Dandridge rather.
Sure. So the dandelion-esque carpenter man. I want to kind of help him with setting up defenses. So I'm imagining like we're smashing down pews, which Dandridge is incredibly happy to do, and kind of using the wood to make fortifications.
He nods at, he's nodding. This is what the master. I can see now why the master wants it. Smashing up wood is almost as good as the things that happen in the cellars.
Almost.
And he winks at Mr. Trode across the room. At which point, what's Mr. Trode doing to assist the defences or prepare for the defences?
I think I'm trying to find the spots where we can actually like set up lookouts so we can actually like know where they're coming, where they're at, so we know where to bolster defenses, or send our limited gunfire and whatnot. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the lookout positions are so that we can track.
That's great. You very much like we've got a higher area where the choir would sit, which is has got the best area, as in you see up the main approach to the hills, and that's a pretty good shooting position. You'd have to break these priceless stained glass windows, though. Let's say shatter the sound of broken glass falling out the window. Okay, Madam Wosenbury, what do you do to help prepare this situation?
I think Madam Wosenbury is gonna look for that bell. See if it's actually around. Like, I mean, she didn't believe those stories, but it's been a night for her for believing other things.
That's great. I was supposed to say you locate the bell easily is the wrong word, but you locate the bell. It's at the top of the tower. At this point, you set the poets looking for the rope so they can start pulling it. You've definitely got this in hand now. You feel like the poets sort of small. Of course, a bell rings true. Of course, a bell is a great metaphor, I find. And the poet Casper is hanging on your word attentively as in kind of looking for information. Suppose you've had it might remind you of one of your students, I imagine. There's a bit like
it's very much the kind of, well, Well, kid, you have got some learning to do. Unfortunately, not everything is a metaphor. Everything can be a metaphor, but that doesn't mean everything should be a metaphor. It's all about learning when to apply the stakes of a metaphor to the situation. Right now, in this moment of calm, we can engage in such fancies, but when it's out raining or we're in the fight for our lives, well, one will have to abandon all metaphor and stay on the ground.
I understand. You want us to lie on the ground. Can I touch the hem of your dress? Me too, says Florence. Me too.
This is why they're here on bell duty. This is like anything else would be maybe a bit too much.
And finally, the illustrious Lady Catherina.
Well, I think everyone else has touched on my main mental checklist of things to do. So maybe it's just making sure that when one job is finished, that we just don't stop. We do something else slightly different. So when the main doors are barricaded, we do the side door, and then maybe the door into the steeple and such. Or maybe not suggesting that we test the bells, because maybe we want that to be our ultimate tactical surprise. But make sure that we can reach the bell rope and all that kind of stuff. So just those fine details that might be the difference between life and death.
Definitely, and you're used to this is like ordering a household around. That's
yeah, exactly.
The image. And imagine that, like the image I've got is like the soldiers about to sit down, and you kind of So that was loud to do on a Zoom call. You know what I mean? Like everything's just a bustle of life around you.
This is not quite as dangerous as that soiree I hosted several years back, but close to that level of traumatic incoming injury.
And suddenly, eventually, all pews are smashed, all doors are sealed, all windows are broken, all angles of fire is done. The weird guy in the cage has been dragged inside. Like all the preparation that could be prepared is done, and you get a chance to catch your breath. All you've got is time here, and you sort of gather together. And one of you has found the communion wine. Which of the four of you has found the communion wine and started to serve it up?
Well, I mean, when you were saying all we have is time, my thoughts was going to, I wonder if this is the denomination of church that would have communion wine in the sacrament. But you've answered that question for us. So.
Yes, I was about to say. In which case, we'll hard cut to you all sitting down, and you've got a bottle of wine each, and this is a moment of stillness. And it's kind of what's each of you, I'm going to go around what's each of you thinking, and also what you're going to say to each other. That's the kind of the thing. So I'm going to start with Dandridge, if that's okay.
I
want to say what you're thinking, as in like, what have you felt about this last hour or so of your life has been like? What has this taught you about yourself and each other? I guess.
Yeah, I feel like the big kind of takeaway for Dandridge, which there's still a chance that she could die, but at the moment she's kind of feeling like kind of proud of herself that she feels like she has done what her family said she couldn't do. Like she's gone out on her own and made friends and survived hardships and relied on her wits and instincts and has made a proper go of it, and at least at the moment it's gone pretty well, all things considered. And yeah, I think she's gonna just kind of look around and kind of raise a glass and be like, to the first, only, and strangest carriage ride through the city I've had. Thank you all for joining me on this bizarre journey.
Is there anyone you toast to particularly? Like you may fit.
Oh, probably Madame Wosenbury. She has impressed me pretty much every step of the way, especially with being a poet on the side.
That's great. So I guess Madam Wosenbury next. Okay, what are your feelings about the last hour, and how you're going to respond to that? This fulsome praise from the impressionable Dandridge.
Yeah, I think if she had to, like, again, going through her list, her priorities, like, she did the best she could in the circumstances she's in. I mean, no one would want to be in these circumstances. No, no, God, no, like. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who would want to be in this situation, but Madame Worsbury probably would have preferred to have not been in this mess. But I think she's thinking that, like, there are worse people to have been together, to have been with. It could have been so much worse that their luck has seen them through, and that she's hoping. She's hoping to that the luck will continue, and that I think she even she kind of phrases the sentiment out when Dandridge kind of toasts, and I think Madame Wosenbury kind of toasts back and says, "My Lady Dandridge, you speak as if this is going to be the end. There's going to be the next day, after all, won't there be?"
Mr. Trode, this probably makes you think, because you're the person who knows most about Hogmen. You've studied the papers, but as much as you may not always believe them, and you're the person who knows about the stories of the Bell and all this. What does this make you feel? What do you feel like you've learned about? What research are you going to bring and publish after this? And how do you feel about the people around you? People who are merely recipients for your stories about fungus an hour ago. Now, real people.
Yeah. Very impressed with how they rose to the occasion, and yeah, very, very hopeful that he can survive this onslaught and examine, actually have time to examine one of these Hogmen and whatever parasites and diseases they may be carrying. Would be an incredible shame to miss out on that chance right when the moment comes. Nope, you're muted.
Sorry, Madame Roseberry is just saying that we're going to live. Did you say it? What do you affirm her? Or do you didn't like? What's the sort of message you give to the room?
Yeah, I think Trode was skeptical that the Hogmen existed, and now he's skeptical that they will survive this. But I think maybe he'll keep that to himself. Yeah, probably just like, yes, I'm sure everyone will just do their best and we'll be fine.
Lady Catherina, you of course are useful. You are somebody who's been around men long enough to know what a meaningful silence sounds like. That tiny gap which speaks eternities. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling about all of this?
Well, of course, Mr. Wickle is thinking, of his next publication to the Royal Society, and he shall finally get one over on whatever academic rival he has or imagines he has. And everyone is thinking of the future, but not Lady Catherina. She is thinking, like, what manner of circumstance and ill will or ill luck has brought her this far north. What an ill-judged match she made with Howard that has brought her here. And of course, once she's taken care of these Hogmen, probably she'll have to not just see to her business interest here, but sell them all to the highest bidder. Unlikely to come north of the Umber again. Not really paying any attention to the prospect of their survival. That's not really her concern. But maybe sharing a quiet word with her companions. They seem to be in their own unique and strange way, quite competent, to the task put ahead. And maybe she might have a quiet word with Dandridge that if she wishes to have some kind of career in this kind of thing, a few strings might be pulled and a commission might be bought for her, in whatever kind of disguise or under what kind of pretense, who knows? That should be to Dandridge's point of view. And similarly with Madame Wosenbury, there's always some kind of a school or some kind of a project to which the educator's mind might be set, and maybe we can create more young women like Dandridge. Might be a bit of a project.
And there is also Trode.
There's also Trode, but I mean, fungi and all such as he is, I'm not sure she can really understand exactly what is going on apart from academic rivalry, and this doesn't really interest Lady Catherina.
Yes. I must say, there's something I always imagine, like your husband, the one you shot, the bad poet, might come to mind with Dandridge, as in, if there are monsters in this world, there should be hunters of them. Which seems like weirdly things. And I must admit, I'm very impressed we managed to go for like 3 hours without doing the fungi joke. That's the that's
sorry.
No. It's like it's a strength of like it has to be saved and savoured like a fine fungal growth. Marvelous. Anyway, that's there's a moment. So you're sort of gathered there, and then the woman from the farm screams down from her watch spot. The Hogmen are coming! The Hogmen are coming! The Hogmen are coming! The Hogmen are coming. You hear the sound of like rustling, moving up the hill. That kind of like an avalanche of pork rolling towards you, horrifically. The poets come say there was a problem with the bell. It can ring true, but its rope has been cut. Someone, perhaps the poetry can allow us to rise up to the heavens and ring it manually.
Did you? No, I'm gonna do it.
As I said, yeah, if someone wants to ring the bell, they're going to have to climb the tower from the inside and outside. So you've got to actually go up and do it, which is a bit of a problem.
It's fine. I've got a whip. Well, I don't know if that's gonna help. I probably shouldn't be swinging around the tower. But I think because this is Madame Wosenbury's she was meant to take care of this with the bell. So she's gonna go run to make sure to ring it, just to see if it'll help against the what you call avalanche of pork.
Avalanche of pork. Yeah, that's the metaphor I'm going with. The good thing about pigs is there's lots of different names for different bits of pig meat, so it's very handy for this kind of verbal for stuff. Anyway,
we can ham it up, can't we?
Yeah. We are in danger, Right. The bad guys are trotters, I guess. Anyway, right. We're in the situation of fighting A, puns, B, pigs. They are coming at you. There's a sound of them bashing against the walls. Dandridge, I imagine you're probably up. Actually, Trode was saying about you were organising the shooting lines, weren't you? Trode, do you want to describe, you could see the hogs coming towards and trying to bash at the main door. What's your sort of orders to them?
What's that?
The first wave of hogs are coming straight at the door, trying to bash their way in. Do you want to? You're in the position to order the people to fire because the gunmen are up here, I guess.
I was going to say I can have passed the gun off to him.
So I was going to say he can order stuff. People he doesn't need to fire. He's he's with the people who can do the shooting for him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just saying if he also wants to have a gun, I can have handed off the one that I had.
Well, I can't shoot the gun and blow my trumpet at the same time. So I think you should keep the gun.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think it's definitely. I would be actually quite upset if Dandridge gave away the gun. It's like, no, you're a woman in the world and you need an enormous firearm. Like, Mr. Trode Wickle, the soldiers look at you kind of respectfully. Show permission to fire, sir.
Yeah, I think I just answered with the trumpet. Battle cry.
Marvelous. Right, do you want to? This point, so you want to basically try to stop the hogs from bashing in the door.
Yeah, if we could just shoot the hogs in the front and
Cool.
Trip them up, slow
Right,
them down.
Yeah. Probably like you're actually up here, so it's a pretty good position for you, and you prepared quite well, and you've got a bunch of good, cool soldiers with you. So I'm going to give you risky standard, and it's risky because the problems are basically stuff like them getting in rather than you necessarily being hurt.
Okay. Don't really know if it. I guess commanding. I guess it's Will.
Yeah.
But...
I was thinking Will. Like it sounds right.
Yeah. It's a 4.
Excellent, not excellent, but awful. Opening fire, literally pigs are being cut down, and you're definitely the thinning out. You manage to you keep up this blistering thing for quite some time, and you're thinking it's but then you're out of ammo. The soldiers are out of ammo, and they've really kind of hold it. Then they're moving mano a mano. One of the soldiers, the soldiers are moving towards the gate. It's going to get a bit closer now. I was going to say, probably cut to Madame Wosenbury, who's trying to climb, isn't she?
Yeah. I think to try to expedite it, she does take out her whip to whip to try to whip at least get it attached to one of the rafters and pull her. So this looks utterly ridiculous. Maybe but,
that's what I say. This increases your effect. I would say. It's a rope. You haven't got a rope, and this is definitely useful. Unfortunately, your brawn is the right one for climbing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to push yourself?
Absolutely, I should. That fills up all my guts. This seems like the right time.
If you can, I believe you fill up your guts, then it doesn't give it. As in, it's only when you grow over you take hysteria. Is that right, or is it?
It says if you have used up all your guts.
Well, please, that's great.
Yeah, I think because the very fact that Madame Wosenbury is even using a whip would mean she's kind of falling into absurd recklessness.
That sounds great. Indiana Jonesing the shit out of this. It's the technical term.
Yeah, that only gives me 1 die.
One massive dice. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, we've been rolling really well. What's the worst that could happen? We had 1 botched group action. Oh my god, that's a 3.
Well, that's fine. That's okay. I was about to say, you're doing the whip, and you throw up. You're kind of you're getting up there, and you literally kind of half up there, and you're in real trouble, and you realise you fall, and you're actually holding onto your fingertips off one of the beams. Casper looks up at you and says, "No, this cannot be borne," and he starts climbing. And he, in a moment of poetic heroism, like something like the Romantics themselves, he climbs up the bare stone face, climbs on top, and drags you up there. And it's like your mind is too important to risk, he says. For this, he's had to actually hang himself down and pull you up, and then he drops instead of you, falling, crashing to the ground. His dying breaths are, "I think that was the greatest poet I ever met. May her voice ring true through the histories." And he just dies very beautifully to one side, and Florence screams up an anguished cry, which is answered by the howling of the pigs. But you managed to get to the top now, and you can start ringing that bell.
Yeah, I think Wosenbury does not trust herself to answer back and anything as beautiful as what she experienced, so she would just kind of she'll let the bell answer for her, and we'll start ringing. That's pushing against it.
Everything is chiming. It's messy. There's finally like I would say Lady Catharina's probably best up next in this way. There's fighting at the door. Like they're starting to tear down the main door's still holding, but it's kind of in trouble at the back. As in the back looks like it's about to maybe collapsing. You need to sort of start defending it better. How are you going to try to How are you going to try to deal with the situation?
Yeah, I think if there's the back door is kind of straining or they're breaking through the wood or the barricades, I think I will intend to drive a few of them mad by. I have a vial of cloying perfume. And I think by applying it liberally to the snouts of several of these hogmen, I shall drive them slightly insane, or maybe drive their compadres against them because they now smell like humans or something like that. So a little bit of ridiculous sleight of hand, maybe.
Yeah, causing chaos with perfume sounds great.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, I'm going to give you, like, in terms of, like, I would say there's what action would you use?
It kind of seems like wit to me.
Yes,
I mean, like, in that, I can maybe find a place that I can do this from. And do it without them seeing it. So, I could see sleight as well, but I think wit is kind of figuring out that this might have an effect on them.
I'm going to say this is desperate standard. If anyone wants to assist or like do similar.
Okay. I don't think anyone is in a great place.
You can push it and get
guts
extra.
Wise. Yeah, I think I might push it to give myself an extra die.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, with 1 + 1, so I'm rolling 2 dice.
Cool, and that'll be 3 effect.
Okay, well, those 6s are still coming for us. So 6 and a 2.
Nice.
Yeah, 6.
That's fantastic. In which case, the door holds. Like perfume, like beating back, they hold back for a second, and the farmer's in there quickly. The master will appreciate that perfume. Lady Catharina, who gave you that perfume?
This was, I think, from my last husband's brother, who was a bit of a paramour and may have really been responsible for his death. I think he was an experienced horseman. He's a colonel. Oh, well, not a colonel. A captain in the lifeguards. His name is Harold. Howard's brother, I guess, is how you might know him. But yeah, he gave me that perfume, and it was quite a valuable keepsake. Only to be taken out on special occasions, but I think this counts.
Thrown into the snouts of these beasts, which is probably like it's a practical use for an impractical gift, which is good. We got this the moment of like they go back and it's enough time for the actual farmer to move in with the things. It's like, master, like good work, strong, and he managed to hammer in the actual nails, holding up, building the barricade, and just as he does it, he gets grabbed and dragged through, but they've managed to repair the barricade and just gets dragged through the little gap like it's sucked out of an aeroplane 200 years too early. He's gone. We can hear the screaming of the master. The master, I'm coming, master. I'll be with you soon. In that level, but the doors hold. Bits of bones flying through the door, thrown back as they've torn him to pieces in this way. But the back door's holding. Yes. But I say, Trode, you might remember something like the ringing the bell. I was like, what's the ringing the bell about? It drove him away. Was it just that was an alarm call that made people come and help you? Either way, it's about your only hope. Right now, Dandridge. Okay, this situation's like the back door's holding, the front door's holding, and it's like You're the only person really left with like with ammo. Like, where are you going to sort of position yourself? Is there any way you can think you can help turn the tide and maybe drive them away somehow?
Yeah, I'd been expecting them to start breaking through the doors, but now I'm thinking that I should go up top and start kind of shooting down at them as people were from the beginning.
That sounds great. Like, do you want to go right up to top? As in, you'll get a better angle if you go where Madame Wosenbury is.
Sure, yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds fantastic. Do you want to climb up?
Yeah.
All right. That would be probably brawn, I guess, but it's up to you.
Great.
You get a +1 because there's a whip hanging down. You can climb for effect. Not
Okay.
+1 dice, but you can push yourself to get.
Yeah, I'm gonna push myself, which is gonna throw me into hysteria.
Which hysteria are you going for?
Because the end is nigh. I think I'm gonna go with manic laughter. So just let me roll and see how my climbing actually goes.
There's a reason to manically laugh if you fall.
Yeah, exactly. So I get 2 dice, right?
Cool. And you have to pick the worst though, because you got. Oh no, you pushed yourself.
I push myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get 1 dice.
Oh, I thought I had 1 from the rope.
No, you get +1 effect from the rope. As in, you're easy to climb up. Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry. Okay, let me reroll that with 1 die. Oh yeah, I got a 3.
Wow. I was about to say, I'm going to give you bad consequences instead. Like, you can climb up, but you've got to drop the you're going to lose the gun.
Okay.
You can resist it if you want to have another hysteria. If you want to.
No, I have something way cooler that I can do without the gun.
Cool. You climb up to the position. Up there with Manuel's, where he's banging away the bell as violently as possible. Bong. There's a lot of the full-on bong energy. We move. So to have this moment, what are we going to do? Are you going to do anything up here in terms of what was your thing?
Yes. So I'm going to mark off another equipment, which is to have 3 throwing knives, and I have an ability that for 2 guts, I can guarantee a hit with a throwing knife. So she's just kind of like cackling wildly, sort of moving around the top up here, just hurling knives down at the pigmen.
That's great. Like, and I think you can probably have as many throwing knives as you like, because I think there's quite a lot of sort of areas here you picked up. The manic, the banging. This is turning quite Quasimodo in this kind of vibe. However, things are going well. Like, the doors are holding. This is a perfect defense. But the Hogmen are coming. From this angle, you realize something. The doors are holding. I said the doors are holding. The front doors are holding. But there's an enormous mass of meat, like a butchery's worth of animals, against the wall, and they're climbing up people's body. They've formed a ramp up the south wall where they've got no doors, and they're about to burst through the stained glass, one of the big stained glass windows, which we had no access to. They climb up and they tumble in. Pairs, then 4, then dozens are pouring into this room. Like, the 2 people down there are definitely in trouble now. Lady Catherina and Mr. Trode. The only area of safety would be up the chapel where the ringing's going on. What do you do? Let's go to Trode first. Like, I'd say there's pigs boiling in. The first person to be grabbed be like, one of the poets dead. The other poet opens the door and sets the cage loose, which releases the guy who was locked in. She explains it's a Rousseauian. This is a genuine follower of Rousseau, imported from France for own entertainment. And the Rousseauian attacks violently. The French officer turns to Mr. Trode. Do not worry, I will have a word with them. They will soon understand our situation. He steps forward bravely and leads a rearguard action with the remaining soldiers. He was being very stiff upper lip, as in being very British despite being French. You definitely have a chance to do something now. Trode, how do you take this chance? Getting out of here is also a good option.
Yeah, I do want to get out of here. I want to get everyone out of here, but I will say, inspired by Lady Catherina's use of perfume to confuse the Hogmen. I wonder if there's a slain Hogman that I can use my huge brass syringe to extract some scent gland or something and help cover our tracks so that we can actually escape instead of just delay the inevitable.
Like escape as in you want to like try to tear out getting out is the problem, but like you certainly climb the tower, but getting out of the building is definitely a trick here.
Yeah, but I mean, once we do that, there's still a huge number of Hogmen here. So I was just wondering if we could hide our scent trail or something. You know,
also,
I just want a quick scene with Trode. You know,
honestly, like you getting
into the guts of
yeah.
Hogmen.
I love you getting samples right now. I love. Like I'm gonna say, give me a. I would say it's a wit roll, and it's desperate standard effects. And what it really is, the danger is: are you going to get torn apart while getting the stuff which might allow you to escape in future? I think that's the question.
Yeah. Okay. It's a 6.
Marvelous. You managed to get it. Just the delay's enough. You've got enough sort of hog. You've got enough some like hog organs of various import. Lady Catherina, however, your mind has been more practical. Is there any way for you to sort of escape up to join the rest of the people up at the top, or have you got another plan?
I mean, I think, actual escape seems to be a little bit beyond us right now. But I think we could barricade the steeple tower door from the inside. There's enough going on inside with the carnage to do that kind of thing, or maybe just lugging a few corpses of Hogmen in front of the door so that maybe they don't notice us.
Yeah. That's good. You've got sort of like you can barricade, but it seems like you've still got to sort of do a climb up there, I guess. So it's probably like to get up there. Actually, no. I think barricading is a good idea. Actually, sorry, I'm just trying to work out how to visual because it's like to get all the way up the top was like sort of explicitly a climb.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, but barricading buys us time and maybe gives us a generally safer.
Barricading, like slowing down the thing, sounds great. What action would you like? So stopping so the action is stopping the pigs getting to the tower and killing us all. Is the kind of aim of the action.
I think it sounds like brawn, like we are forcing shut the door and maybe even using our bodies against it to keep it closed while we kind of barricade it. I don't know if that sounds like it fits.
That's great. Trode, fantastic. Like, I imagine the group falling back, the remaining survivors anyway, which isn't many. There is... actually, roll, and we can work this out. So do you want to include Trode, who is available to assist if he's around?
Yeah. So I'm rolling one die. And let's see how this comes out. 5. So some kind of consequence, I guess.
Missed success. You managed to. Basically, it's like making sure everyone leaves the party early. You get badly gored by one of the pigs, taking serious harm, as in level 2 harm. As you're kind of like you're the last person through the door, and everything else is through there. A few other people die as well. You see, the farm lady's still alive. Also, the coach hand. Mr. Trode is about to get grabbed, and the coach hand steps in the way, allowing one of the pigs to grab him, passing Mr. Trode the gun and says, "My life was yours anyway, mate. You got me this far. Get home yourself." Passing you, as I said, his remaining gun, with one of the few bits of gunpowder, as you all clam into the tower, barricaded by Catherina, who is bleeded heavily. I imagine at the moment Catherina and Trode look at each other and kind of realise that, we need each other right now. I was about to say, I'm going to go around the group and give everyone the last thought as you barricade into the tower with the hogs banging in and Dawn, Dawn seeming so far away. And we'll start with Dandridge, shall we?
Sorry, what did you want?
what the image I've got here, everyone's barricaded themselves in the tower. There's still not much room. You guys are at the top. Catherine and Trode are at the bottom with the new barricades. And you kind of hope you can stand until dawn. But dawn still seems a long way away. I'm going to give each character their own last sort of fort as we kind of sum up the adventure, as you're barricaded in a not hopeless, desperate situation.
Yeah, okay. I think for Dandridge, she's definitely bummed out about how the last stand has gone, with so many people dead. But she's, she has that kind of like, still throwing knives, has that kind of like resolved. We did the best we could. If this is how we're going out fighting.
That's great. Can we zoom down the tower actually like this? Zoom down to Dr. Trode Wickle. Sorry, Mr. Trode Wickle. I've given you a promotion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's just looking around, and I think he's starting to become a little resigned. Like there doesn't really seem to be anything more to do.
But your samples, you've got some wonderful samples.
Yeah, I wonder if he's even just kind of looking for, maybe there's some spot he could put them to leave them to be found.
That's what honestly, that science will live on even if we die. Love it.
Yeah, and maybe trying to take some notes or something to stuff in with them. Or yeah,
I love that. Okay, we jelly shot around to Catherina, bleeding heavily, but still austere and powerful. Or is she? Please.
Yeah, I think probably unlike any other time in her life, she is like sitting on a step. Not very looking, not very, or rather too casual for a lady of her breeding. And then I think writing a letter to her husband's brother, or her late husband's brother, recommending Dandridge to commission in the lifeguards, and and maybe there's a smidge of perfume which is still on her hands, which she rubs on the parchment.
Marvelous. And finally, we linger there on the parchment. Then the shot zooming back up the chimney to Madame Wosenbury ringing that bell. Give me the last image of Madame Wosenbury and her feelings as this.
Yeah, I think we just see like Wosenbury like just determinedly ringing that bell, and like not even looking to see if it had any actual effect on the Hogmen. Just kind of like just ringing as if her life literally depended on it, which maybe it kind of does, but almost kind of like thinking that like if she stops to even look if it's working, then it might not work. So her concentration is just on the bell, and like even any other thoughts has kind of like been purged away. It's just like, all right, I gotta keep this bell ringing, and then maybe it helps.
And at least it does help, because it's like each bell screams across the countryside, and all the ears that turn to it know the Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are coming. The Hogmen are coming. And then we pan across the countryside, zooming down from Madame Wosenbury, past the pigs, these baying, rutting, crazed, like fascinating monsters. We zoom past this endless amount of them, panning up, and they're like ants crawling across the countryside towards the chapel. We head up to a nearby hill, and standing on the hill, dressed in the ceremonial robes of the Hogmaster, is Howard, the deceased husband of Lady Catherina, looking out with tiny, angry, piggy eyes. And so we end the game of Teeth. Thanks everyone for playing. You were great.